They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week, another episode of Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. I'm your host, 30 and Still Gaming, and joining me each and every single week is my brother, Sgt McClusky. What's going on, bro? It looks like you're struggling there.
Yeah, the thing digs into my neck, and I got like skin tags on that side of my neck.
Oh, nice.
So the strap rubs on them, and I'm thinking that at this point they're probably ripped off or infected or something. I don't know.
I don't know what it is. Like skin tags and the word like moist. They like skin tag. I don't know.
Skin tags not a big deal though. You can get rid of skin tags. You just
I know.
gotta
They just scrape it off with a little razor.
You have to visit your friendly neighborhood
Dermatologist.
Yeah.
What's going on, chat? What's going on, Kuda Papa, Dustin, Stealth, Dave Langer, YouTube Lurker, Krebsy, Dolphin, what's going on? Good evening. How is everyone doing? Thanks for showing up for episode 408. Generation X Gaming is a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and Sarge is just lost connection.
Still here.
And we go over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. We're here live Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can listen to us or watch us over on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm. And you can also help us out by hitting that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button if you'd like to go above and beyond that. Become a member as little as $5. And you can also check out us on the podcast formats and leave a review, leave a comment, leave a star, leave something. Okay? But help us out by interacting with the content that we make here, and we appreciate you for doing so. Sarge, are you coming back, or are you...
Yeah, I'm just making an adjustment. You don't need to watch me make adjustments.
I gotcha. Okay, I just want to make sure if I had to bring the thing up. I don't know. All right, so on today's show, we're going to be talking about Black Myth Wukong. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Outlaws. I played it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. We'll also have news stories about it as well. We're going to talk about Concord. We're going to talk about what else we got here? We got to talk about Greedfall. 2 developers are going on strike. We're talking about Square Enix doubling down on Xbox. We're going to talk about Avowed. We're going to be talking about Amazon. They're also doubling down and putting more Gamepass on more devices. We're going to talk about... There's a story that came out about Black Myth Wukong, but we're not talking about Black Myth Wukong. We're talking about who are we supposed to trust, Sarge? Are we supposed to trust the game studio that says something, or are we supposed to trust the journalists reporting the things that they report on? Right?
Oh God, you're going to throw hand grenades this early? I thought that story was going to be later.
No, it is. I'm telling you what we're talking about today.
Oh God, don't get me started yet.
So that's one of the issues we're going to talk about today. So but before we do all of that, again, hit that like button, and let's get to what we've been playing. All right, Sarge, another week down. What have you been playing?
My face too lit up. Trying to adjust the light.
No, it looks fine.
Washed out?
You look fine. There's no shiny things on your head. I'm underlit.
All right, so obviously Borderlands 2. That's obvious. Right?
Yeah, we play Borderlands on Shooting the Shit with Sarge on Wednesdays.
Yeah. I've been playing Minecraft with my nephew, because apparently I gave him a birthday present that he went and bought a bunch of stuff, so now he just can't stop talking about it. So
he's excited.
I'm playing Minecraft. I know he's excited. I'm not mad at him for being excited. I would like to be half as excited as he is for Minecraft or any game ever now. I'd like to be that excited.
He I forget what the skin pack that he bought, but he...
Not a skin pack. Those
it's an add-on. It's an add-on. Whatever. Yeah.
Realistic. It's realistic Minecraft. So all the okay. He said he was going crazy for like 45 minutes.
So I know he got yelled at by mom because she told him to get off the thing, and he's like, "Give me just 1 second, 1 second," and he was just constantly telling.
Yeah, so if I could sum it up. So first off, there's real clouds. It's not blocky clouds, right? Then when it rains or snows, there's actually dark clouds in the sky and a windstorm effect, so it makes it look like you're actually in a storm and visibility is cut down drastically.
Oh, that's cool.
And then when the storm, whether it be snow or rain, when it does stop snowing or raining, a giant rainbow appears in the screen.
Oh.
Right, and it stays there for a little bit, then it fades away.
He was talking about something about the lighting. The lighting is much better.
When you look at the sun, it has that little sun star effect.
Oh, the little, like what you see with your eyes. Right.
Yeah, when you see with your eyes, the little dots and the streaks. Right, when you look at the sun, it does that.
What you see with camera, anyway.
New textures for trees, new textures for water. There's actually water trail. When you swim, there's like a water trail of water from where you're swimming. The walking animations are different. It actually looks like you're walking. It looks a little funny though, because it looks like you're really skating. It's like you're walking, but you're moving faster than your walk type of thing. But it's still a good. It's still a good walk.
They have those little roller skate things on that make you walk. You're like
kinda. Yeah. That's how he moves. The weapons are 3-dimensional. They're not 2D.
What's 3-dimensional?
Anything you hold in your hand, like a weapon or something.
Oh, that's cool.
It's more of a 3-dimensional type of texture. All the animals have new skins. The rooster looks like a rooster. The sheep actually looks like a sheep. Like everything's retextured to look like an actual animal as opposed to the blockiness.
And what is this called? It's a, maybe I can bring it up.
Realism. I want to say it's realism. Robert Jones. He told me $10. He told me $10. I'm like, yeah, game's done.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
I know it's a cool mod. They wouldn't stop talking about it.
Let's see.
I mean, I get lost in Minecraft. I told you, I put headphones on, I listen to classical music, and then I lose myself in Minecraft. That's what I do. Instead of taking pain pills, that's usually what I do.
Is this the one? This came out.
I made Minecraft.
Oh, came out. I don't know if this is a mod that this guy put in, or if this is an add-on from the actual. Here, I'm gonna put.
Speaking English. Aku, what the hell are you talking about?
Is this what it looks like? Or hold on, I don't think this is what it looks like. This is a.
You're doing science stuff now. We're talking about a video game.
No, this is not it. This is a guy. That's a mod. This is a mod that guy implemented.
Nimbus clouds, like I don't know.
Let's see. Real Minecraft.
Yes.
Mod add-on. Real Train. Best mods for Minecraft.
I mean, it's incredible. If it's $10.
Yeah, it was $10 because I had to okay it.
I got different texture packs before to make the blocks look different and make them look interesting. But he said that all that realism stuff was $10. And I'm like, there's no way. The whole game's different now. Right? They're little birds that fly in the sky. Little birdies fly. They fly overhead. I'm
going to ask my son real fast. Hold on.
Don't ask him. This will be up. That's a half an hour.
I didn't say anything yet. I just want to ask the name. I just wanted to ask the name so I can look it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
No? All right, I won't do it.
I don't think you should.
All right, I won't do it. I won't do it.
He's gonna be the third guest star. He's gonna come over and start going through the whole thing.
Yeah. I'll give it to him. You want me to do that? Well,
yeah, sure. I'll take my pills.
Would you like my son to tell you what is in the thing? I can bring him on. Would you like him to come on and tell you about the Minecraft? Do you guys care? If not, right? Dave Langer says yes. Okay. Oh,
the kid's excited. Let him talk about it. Now, of course, he doesn't want to be over here.
I don't think you can hear me. Hold on 1 second. Talks amongst yourselves. Sarge, say something.
Be back music.
I don't have bring back music. Hold on 1 second.
Boom boom. It's a realism mod. Realism mod.
All right. I'm not gonna say my son's name, but he's gonna tell you what the new Minecraft thing has. Enjoy, chat. I want you to tell them about your new.
Yeah. So explain to everybody the new things in that Minecraft realism mod.
Okay, so you can call me Little 30.
You can call him Little 30. Okay.
Little 30.
So in Minecraft, I bought this
What's it called?
Realism crafting.
Is that what the real name is? Yeah. Realism craft.
So it's only $10, and
let's start at the top. What are the different things in there?
Okay, so once you log in, it's random world generation, like most maps in Minecraft. That is not usual. So it's always random world generation, and you only can get the full experience in the add-on.
Okay.
You can get but if you want like the full experience, like yes, that way it looks.
Okay.
So it's completely for the game, like very good. So.
All right. So
what does the textures do?
Okay, the textures are like make it look more realistic 10 times. They added new structures, new biomes. So you even can see Stonehenge.
Stonehenge is in there.
Stonehenge. Okay. Don't know why. They made their own structures, weather effects like meteor showers, the northern lights, some good thunderstorms.
Okay.
Spiders are completely different, and scavengers, the butterflies, birds, water physics. There's also falling leaves, custom blocks, custom mobs that they made. So like a pillage your pirate ship or pillage your castle. Lots of stuff.
What about the animal textures?
Yes, and it's the top pick of the year.
Top pick of the year.
It is a top pick.
There you go, bud.
The first one.
Okay.
What about when you hold the torch?
Oh, and there's dynamic lighting.
Oh, dynamic lighting.
Dynamic lighting.
And that works with redstone torch, lanterns, sword torch, sword lantern, and the normal lantern.
All right.
There's also custom animation. Every mob.
Including myself.
Thank you very much for the review.
Except the boat, that is kind of sad because they only updated the textures, but even though there's bubbles when you swim.
I'll see you later, chat.
When you swim, those bubbles coming off, but when you go in the boat, it doesn't make bubbles.
It doesn't leave a trail. When you swim, it leaves a trail.
Yes, but boats don't.
But boats don't. All right, buddy. All right, so we'll play. It's the weekend. We'll play tomorrow if you want to play. Take care.
Sure. There you go, chat. He's the best person to ask because I didn't know. I haven't seen it.
He knows more about Minecraft than I think anybody I've never met.
We can have a weekly segment just on Minecraft itself.
It's Little 30 and the Minecraft moment.
That, I mean, honestly, he could talk he could have a whole show just talk about Minecraft. That's what he wants to do. He wants to make Minecraft. He wants to make Minecraft YouTube videos. That's what he wants to do. So
give him a couple more years. He'll do it.
So, all right. So I think it's cool. He wants me to play with him this weekend. So I'll definitely have to buy it. And he said, you got to get it yourself, Dad. You can't. He's like, I want you to have it yourself. So you have to pay $10 to get it. I was like, okay. So I have to buy it again.
I mean, I got to be honest. For the amount of stuff that's inside that mod for $10, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke. I'm like, it just can't be just $10.
I have to say, for the professionalism my son did, I literally just grabbed him. He didn't know he was going to be on. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, come on the camera. He's like, okay. So he came on. I think he could take my job. I think it actually, we're struggling to get to 3,000 subscribers. I guarantee you if my son started a channel, he would have 3,000 subscribers by the end of the month.
Yep. Possible.
Oh man, makes you feel good inside. So what else have you been playing, Sarge, besides the Minecraft stuff?
Minecraft was a lot, man. I started the second character on Borderlands 2, and then I've been continuing the story on the Mafia trilogy. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't really been in the mood, right? The pain meds make me go in and out of sleep, right? So, you know what I mean?
Like real quick, I got to thank Stealth Gaming. Thank you very much for the $3 super chat. I appreciate that very much. $3 super chat.
I mean, Borderlands takes up a lot of time. I realize that as I'm wandering around looking for stuff, eats up the clock, man. That game is. Oh, by the way, I did confirm GameStop does have it in the box. Used $10.
I would pay the $3 extra dollars up from the 7 to the 10.
To have it.
To have it, yeah, I would do that. I might. I'll go this weekend, check it out. If they have it for 10, I'll pick it up. I've been playing. Mostly, I've been playing Star Wars Outlaws. I've been playing Borderlands. I played Star Wars Outlaws. We'll talk about Star Wars Outlaws, and then I guess we'll go from that into like the first story of Star Wars Outlaws as well. I'm enjoying Star Wars Outlaws. Besides, I'm just talking about the game here, not about the money to spend if it's 110, 130. Just the game itself, right? The game itself. I'm enjoying it. I know a lot of people. Solomon August, thank you very much for the one gifted membership. Appreciate that.
Thanks for becoming a member.
I like the game. It's good. It's not great. Okay, it does a lot of nice things visually. The game is stunning, right?
Except her face.
Except her face, which is fine because you're staring at the back of her head for most of the time. But the cutscenes, it's very
not a reason to cut corners. But
no, I understand that. What I'm saying is, visually, you don't have to stare at her face a lot. Okay, but the cutscenes, the pre-rendered cutscenes and stuff like that, it's like hit or miss. It literally is like Jerry Seinfeld, that episode where the bad lighting is like certain lighting is just like really bad.
When her face comes up on the screen, this is what I hear. And then there's Maud. That's what I hear when her face comes on the screen. Like I see B. Arthur as a younger woman. That's who I see when I look at her. It's ridiculous.
Massive has done a really good job. We've always given Massive props for what they've done in Division 1 and Division 2. The amount of storytelling they tell within the world, the realism, they make the worlds feel alive. Okay, so I went to my third planet, which is like the first planet you're in. You're gone in like a couple minutes, right? You go to your second planet, which is really your first planet, and then the second planet is really your third planet. But going to these planets, they're super detailed when you go to the cities and stuff like that, and it feels like a Star Wars game. In my opinion, it feels like Star Wars, right? It feels as good, like it did for other Star Wars games, like Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. There's like there's Star Wars cities and stuff, but it also feels very bare. And there's there's people, but like the outposts there and stuff like that. There's a couple people or stormtroopers, and you're like, oh, this is cool. In this, it feels alive. It almost feels like a Grand Theft Auto-esque type of stuff when you're in the cities. Okay, it does in the cities. But then when you start driving around the open world, it's not so open, right? It all depends if you're on a mission. If you're on a mission, then you can't go outside of the mission area. It says you're leaving the area. The NPCs and the bikes and stuff you can't steal. I wish they did some sort of quality of life thing, Sarge, where they implement it where people can steal other people's bikes. Like you can steal anyone's bike and drive it around.
Let's put it this way. There's a lot of gameplay restrictions inside this game.
Inside this open world game.
I can't shoot on a bike. I can't punch who I want to punch. I can't. I'm restricted. I can't do a lot of things that I want to do.
So here's two aspects of what's happening here, right? The people that are reviewing the game, I heard people that beat the game in 20 hours and said certain things during the review. And I'm playing, and I'm on the one planet for 12 hours, okay? They say certain things during the review, and I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks. But then when I'm playing the game, I'm like, wait a minute. I can do this, right? Like someone said there was no turbo on the bike in their review, right? They wish the bike was faster. And I'm like, well, the bike is faster if you upgrade it, right? But they didn't upgrade their bike. So
for what purpose do you upgrade the bike?
So you can go faster.
So what?
You can get to places faster.
Wow.
What's the point of showering if you're just going to get dirty again? Like, I don't understand what you're...
That's not a good example.
Well, no, it is because...
What I'm saying is, if I'm going to upgrade the bike, with mods, then I want to be able to use the bike properly with those mods. But you can't shoot on the bike, so what's the purpose of going faster?
But here's my point is that you can use the bike it gets better. It's like I said, it's like the Hogwarts Legacy broom.
Like the broom,
right? The broom is downgraded when you first get it, and then as you use the broom and go through different things, play the game, go do missions, go through races, you can upgrade the broom, and the broom handles better, right? You wear certain things, you buy a different broom, it handles better. In this, you can upgrade the bike, and it does better things, right? Your character can open different doors and different things with the gun that you have, right? Instead of having a separate gun, it's the gun and you put the bolt on there so you can blast rocks open, or you put the stun gun on there so you can stun people or knock the shields down. So there's certain things that when people were doing the reviews, they didn't really say this type of stuff. They're just like, oh yeah, it's a stealth game and blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
they're trying to get to the end. They're just trying to get to the end.
Correct, which I think does, no matter what game you're reviewing,
not a review.
Correct. Whatever game you're reviewing, you're not doing justice for what the game is, right? So as you're going through, people are like, "Oh yeah, you should be able to use," instead of she hits her people with her fists, right? Now, once you progress through the story, you unlock.
She does a haymaker. Is what she does.
You unlock a stun gun, right? You unlock like a zapper that you can stab to people, right? But people don't know that, and they think that, well, it's stupid the way she takes people down. It's like, yeah, in early game, that's what she does. But then as you upgrade and get things, other things unlock. Okay, like I said, the stealth is good but not great. It's like they put stealth in there but didn't really think about the stealth, right? They put the gunplay in there but they didn't really think about the gunplay, right? They put the bike in there but they didn't really think about flushing out the bike, right? And
lots of options but master of none.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the game that it feels good but it doesn't feel great. Okay, and it feels like a hodgepodge of different things. They're like, hey, we should put this in the game, and they're like, yeah, let's do that. And they do it. Now, again, I'm only about 15 hours in the game. Maybe to say like 20 hours beats the game or something, because that's what people did. 15, 20 hours, they beat the game. I'm 15 hours in the game, and I'm on planet 3 of 5, and I'm like 20% in the actual campaign, right? So I have a lot more, and what I like about the game, here's what I like about the game, Sarge. It does feel like when you play the game for what the game is and not trying to rush through it to beat the game, to put it down so you don't have to play it again, right? Because I don't understand why people play games like that. Reviewers, I understand, but if you like a game, you play the game, right? I feel like what's happening right now between the reviews, the way they talk about it, and other people like either love it or they hate it, I feel like it's like Starfield all over again, right? The people that played Starfield, not just run through Starfield as fast as possible, try to hit the boundaries and then bitch about it, right? Like played Starfield, they're like, yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good game. It's a fun game to play. That's what Star Wars feels like, but in a Star Wars universe. Like you get to play the game, go on missions, you meet certain people, and then those people give you like these abilities that you can unlock. And let's say you want to sneak better, where you have light-footed. Well, one guy that you meet gives you these missions to go do these things. So it's like take out 10 stormtroopers and find this this piece of article of clothing or whatever. Okay, once you find these two things, you unlock that ability, and now you can get around sneaking better, so you're not as detected, right? Well, someone that doesn't know that, okay, is just like sneaking around,
or doesn't bother to try to learn it.
Correct, and people that just don't play the game
to get to the end,
right? They're just playing the game, and they're like, fucking stealth is terrible in this game. They're seeing you left and right, and you're like, well, if you play the game and you further go through, then you'll unlock things to make better stealth, right? So the game is there for people to play, but people are not giving it. They feel like they should be handed to it, or
I struggle when I watch some guys play. I'm not going to mention any names, but the more I watch, like I'm never going to buy this game because to me it's a half-ass game for a full price. I'll wait eventually to come out in an area where I'll want it. Right, but when I watch people play the game, and this is how I do process of elimination for people's channels that I will never watch again, is how they interact with a game, calling themselves a gamer, and then never following any protocols on how a gamer plays a game.
Right.
Okay. Like
okay,
for instance,
I understand.
in the very beginning of the game, there's that first city you go to where the stormtroopers have the city blocked. Right. The stormtroopers are on the left side, and they're talking to some guy, and you try to walk up to it, and they say you can't come in. Now, I watched the guy for 5 minutes. He walked up because he was in a big rush, right? Didn't want to listen to the dialogue, read what the signs were on the actual sides of the actual turnstiles, right? And so he walked up, tried to drive his bike up there, couldn't, bitched about the bike, tried to pass a stormtrooper, bitched about not being able to pass a stormtrooper, bitched about not being able to punch the stormtrooper, then left. Then he goes, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. How do I get in here? And he bitched for another 4 minutes about how he can't get into the city, then went back, and then all he had to do was walk on the right side.
Right, where the line is, where the line is.
Where the line of people was.
Yeah.
It took him 10 minutes to get into the thing. Now, if you call yourself a gamer, now if you're doing it on purpose to cause drama in the channel, because the chat's just going ballistic, I think they do it on purpose.
It could be for purposeful,
the chat's going ballistic. Like, what are you? Basically, the statements were, "What are you, an idiot?" Like you listen to the quest given, go where the guy told you to go, look around, and just explore. It was, I can't get A to B, frustration, run away. That's exactly how it was. Like, that's how you play a game. Like, if you're not a gamer, man.
So
you're not a gamer.
I played where I didn't upgrade my ship yet, and when I was playing the ship in the ship space battle, I was like, it's really arcadey. It feels arcadey. Okay,
it is.
Yeah, but now
doesn't feel arcadey. It is.
Well, it is arcadey, right? But then I upgraded my ship for my guns. And I'm doing more damage now, and it feels a little bit better, right? And you can upgrade your ship for maneuverability and whatnot. And I'm sure it'll feel better when I get there. So if you're a person that wants to play the game, like actually play the game, if you're a person that wants to get the game so you could be mad about the game, then I say don't get the $18, don't get the $70, don't buy the game. Just move on with your life. Go play a different game, right? So you can actually have fun in the game that you want to play. But if you're a person that is interested in this game, there's a lot to it, man. And I went from I forget the second planet to the third planet, which is Keelam, I think it's called. Okay, it's a place that you haven't been to before. And I got into the ship, I got my hyperdrive fixed, and I shot over to the next galaxy or the next area, right? And I was blown away by this, right? So you hyperdrive over to the next section, and when you come into the next section, it comes out of hyperdrive. All of a sudden, you see this galactic gas cloud in the middle of space, and I was like, what the fuck is that, right? And I'm flying towards it, and there's points of interest within the cloud, and then there's the planet on the other side of the cloud, and there's patrols going around, and you can interact with people. I got in a dog fight. It seemed really cool. Then I went through the cloud, and you can hear the thunder and the rumbling and the stuff like that. I was like, man, this feels good. Like, it feels like this is what I wanted Starfield to be, right? I'm in the clouds, I'm going through. But then, like, the missions that you do in the spaceship, it's not like you dock in Starfield. It's you're in your ship and you hit Y when you get to a box, and then it takes it, right? So it's like they've implemented something, but they did minimal viable product they didn't want to flush it out.
But in that instance, it's always a waste of resources to do a really detailed transition, because after the initial first few times you do the transition, nobody cares anymore. So, like, yes, on one end, you're ruining kind of like the immersion because you break it with that type of gameplay mechanic. But at the same time, I've watched both sides of the coin. Like, when you see that little transition, you're trying to skip it as fast as possible because you've already seen it 100 times. Like, so I get it. I wouldn't call that an MVP.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, as far as the technology, like, instead of like docking with the ship and then going into the ship and collecting the stuff, it's just hit Y, right? Then I landed on this next planet, and it's a snow planet. So it's like this village on the side of a mountain, and you land there, and it's very dense, right? It's not as open as the other planet. It's very small. It's much smaller, but it's a very dense city, and it's a mountain. It almost looks like a Tibetan monk city on the side of a mountain, right? And it's snowing, and you get out, and she starts talking. She's like, "Oh, I'm wearing the wrong clothes, for this, and I'm really cold." Okay, and then you can see the snow landing, and her jacket starts to get frost on it because it's really cold outside. And then when you go inside, you see it like melt, and the people that are there are different than the people that you saw on the other planet. They do a really good job environmentally with this game, but then everything else is sort of like, if it's supposed,
it's mid,
right? It's mid. And then when you unlock certain things, it feels better, but it feels like a lot of people don't even care to do those things, to unlock those things, to make the game feel better. Just like you were saying, why upgrade that? Why do this, right? Well, why is because you're playing the game.
reasons for the upgrade, reasons for the accomplishment, reasons.
Right.
It's not that you have to be pet on the head and given a cookie because you accomplished something. It's if I'm upgrading something, then I want to use the upgrades for something cool and fun in the game. Not that I'm on a bike going from A to B and it took 30 seconds. Now I'm on the bike going from A to B and it took only 15 seconds. Yay.
Right.
Like,
right.
How about you just press Y for fast travel? Like you're basically padding something out that doesn't accomplish anything. Like if I become a certain level of criminal and I have a specced out bike and I want to go rob some people because they're against my clan, then I should be able to go around and rob people on the bike. But that's the thing I talk about, the hindrance.
Right.
I'm not allowed to do these things. I'm allowed to do the things that are inside this, but I'm not allowed to do these other things. But you're giving me the freedom to do them, but just not the actual thing.
Right.
Like
so
I can't.
Here's other things that happens in the game that I wish they kind of change. And this is why I think they should make some sort of quality of life to this game, right? One, when you kill a guy and he has a gun, you can pick up their gun and use their gun. But if you do anything, if you jump, if you climb a ladder, if you do anything, you drop the gun, right?
That mechanic, and I'm sorry to say
it's
this.
so old school. It's like PlayStation 2 era.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That type of mechanic is so far back in the generations that it's insulting that it's even in this game that we need to talk about it.
Right. Another thing is shooting on your fucking bike. Okay? Like I don't know if it's an ability later that I can do it, all right? But what I'm saying is right off the bat, I could do Red Dead Redemption slow down when you build up your adrenaline where I can shoot people because of the adrenaline thing, right? So I can hit the LRB or L3, R3, and then I can shoot 3 times and kill the person, right? And there's upgrades for that to do last longer or do more things.
But you can't shoot. So like
right,
so
I just can't shoot.
Yeah,
I just can't turn around and shoot somebody.
But this is the difference. This is the meat of the conversation. I can pretty much guarantee you that those things were supposed to be in the game.
Right.
But if I'm looking
at they cut it short because they're just like, we don't have time for it.
Right. If I'm looking at a game and let's say I got five containers, right? And I'm filling each of the containers up with liquid, right? And I'm trying to get all of them filled. But I only have so much liquid in this one. I can only fill this to so many levels.
Right.
So I got to decide which one of these I'm going to fill up, but I'm not going to fill up all of them. So we have to decide. Graphics look good for everything else. Skip on her face. Nobody cares. We're looking at the back of her head for most of the game. That's someone's decision now.
Right.
We're not looking at her face. It's not a big deal. Then we're riding around on a bike. The guy says we need to shoot people on the bikes, and they go, not really. Let him use a special ability. All the bike is for is to go from A to B. It's not a big deal. And It's not a big deal is a reoccurring phrase that the suits say when the clock's running out and you got to get a game out. It wasn't done.
I think
it wasn't. Bottom line, it wasn't done.
I think for shooting that on the bike, that should be standard. I can turn and shoot, right? And it might be hard because I'm driving. And because I'm driving and shooting, it's a little difficult. And then the upgrade should have been the Red Dead gun to shoot. But standard, I should be able to shoot a gun on the bike, right?
They did what was needed to do in order to make an MVP.
Just to get it out there, right? To just get it out there.
Which is okay. But then you can't say after people who review games properly, like the guys who really like true gamers who are reviewing the game, like the questions that they ask is like, why wouldn't you just flush this out? Like you went 80% of the way. Right. Why don't you just finish it out at a time, right? So they decided, whatever level that they were at, that this was the best product they could make in the time allotted, and we have to get it out. That's what happened.
Here's another thing.
That's what happened.
Here's another thing. When you're on a mission, there's some missions that you can sneak. You can either guns blaze or you can stealth. Okay, you have a choice. Do I go in the back end? Do I stealth around and knock out the people? Or do I go guns blazing or whatnot? But there's some missions that you can't choose that. It's if you go guns blazing, you're dead. You have to reset, and you have to do stealth. Okay.
From what I read on most of the Empire missions, you cannot
stealth.
do guns blazing.
Correct.
You gotta do stealth.
It's stealth, and if you fuck up, it's like a checkpoint. And that to me is also so last like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era type of games. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I made it to this crate, and now if I die, I go back to this crate type of thing, right? I feel like that's a little bit off as well, right? So this game, I'm enjoying. I like the immersion of like playing Sabacc and playing the arcade games and talking to the bartenders and finding things in the world. And it says you find this thing. It says, hey, you found a treasure. Let's see if you can go find that treasure. Hey, go talk to this person to go level up your thing. Hey, go sell to this. The faction thing's pretty cool, right? Because right now I'm going all Crimson Dawn, right? So when I go to Crimson Dawn vendor, I get super extra bonuses, right? Like I get lower prices. They get me more stuff. If I go to the Pikes, who I'm hated, they charge like $100 more for an item that I need, right? There's all these things, and there's certain aspects of the game where you're like, hey, do you want to double cross these people? And you're like, maybe. Like you find information, and then you use that information to go to one of the factions, and you're like, I'll give this information here to help my reputation with that faction, and you go about. They do this fantastic, but the rest of the stuff just feels like it's just meal pieced together, and it doesn't feel complete.
But because if I looked at the game on a whiteboard and we were analyzing what the important things were, if one of the major mechanics inside the game was your character being able to bounce between factions and trying to find ways to attach missions to those factions in order to get credibility for those said factions, right? That's a key thing in that game. You can't fuck that up.
Right.
So if that was fucked up, the game would probably collapse, right? So they had to make sure that part of the game was good. I think that's a great mechanic, right? I think that mechanic paired up with the Mordor mechanic where you have a nemesis would be like a perfect picture of like what a game could be for that one, where I'm going after certain guys and I went after an assassination attempt and I missed the assassination attempt, and now that guy knows I tried to kill him, and so from that point on, every once in a while, he'll show up trying to kill me or something else. Like that to me.
Well, that's what happens with the factions when you're driving by them. They're like, "Oh, that you're wanted" or whatever.
I get it, but what I'm talking about is down the line when the games are getting. First of all, let's pick up the pace on the AI, okay?
The AI is dumb in this game.
Let's not pretend that we want to make sure all the kids are patted on the back and given their first cookie when they do their first stealth mission, because we don't want anyone to get crushed their first time out doing a stealth mission. 100% get it. Now, I'm leaving the bugs out of it. I'm just talking about
I didn't come across any bugs personally. Yeah,
right. Just the actual.
I had the audio dialogue, which I got rid of a guy, and he was still talking even though he was knocked out.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter.
No, I'm just saying I haven't really experienced any bugs in the game.
The point is that people are. I'm using your argument now.
Sure.
People
yeah,
are.
I can't speak for other people. I'm saying I haven't experienced that many bugs.
What I'm saying is this type of game needs to fire on all cylinders if you expect you to be involved in the so-called Game of the Year. Now, because this is an MVP, a resounding yes with no arguments that this is an MVP, like you don't get to be in the list of Games of the Year, right?
Sure.
Games of the Year are for people that balls to the wall. We made a great product. You were noticed. The fans love it. And now you go on the list. This game is good. That's all it is good. Does it need patchwork? Sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
But my point is, it was yet another game not ready and released. And not only released, with the debacle between the $130 thing, the price point, and the early access, and that debacle, that's not how you're supposed to behave. Right? It's not how you're supposed to behave.
Here's the thing I want to bring up, because you guys are saying that Lono, he rage quit because of janky stealth or whatnot. I want to compare this to, because I stayed on that first planet, second planet, whatever you want to call it, for like 12 hours. Hold on a second. No. Listen to what I'm saying. I stayed on that planet and did the things that was telling me to do the stuff on that planet. And on that planet, I found 3 separate vendors. And on those vendors, they made me go on these missions to go do. Now, because it's a wide open game, it's an open world game, you can choose if you would like to do these things or not do these things. Now, based on difficulty, based on whatever, okay, if you just do the main storyline and continue on, I guarantee you're going to have a worse time than if you sit in that one planet and go, oh, I'm going to go collect this. You can play the game how you want, okay? But I'm assuming that he didn't fill up a lot of the abilities in the thing. Again, I didn't watch him play. I'm assuming, though, that he's just doing the main storyline type of stuff, probably stayed on the planet for just a little bit, didn't do a lot of these side quests and whatnot, okay, to get light-footed, to get certain things where you can't get detected, to give Nyx extra abilities to do certain things so you can help you while you're sneaking. If you don't do any of these things, which you have every right to do, okay, when you go do an Imperial stealth mission and you didn't upgrade that stuff because you just did mainline, it's just like any other game. If you did like a roguelike or anything else where
underleveled,
right, you're underleveled, you can't do that mission. Right, you got gear check without knowing, but because it's a wide open game, it's an open world game, people are like, this is stupid, I can't get past this thing, this is so dumb. But meanwhile, if you just played the game...
That right there, yeah, but what you're saying right there, that's it. That's basically a gear check that you weren't told.
But if I want to play a game and beat a boss with a level 1 gun, and I want to sit there for an hour and a half and shooting him to get him down, or I play the game, level up my gun to level 15, and then shoot him with the level 15 gun, it goes much easier, right? So I believe, and I'm not, again, I don't know what Lono did, but I'm assuming a lot of people, even the reviewers, had these kind of issues where they're like, oh yeah, it just doesn't feel, the stealth felt really bad. Probably because they didn't upgrade anything, right?
You didn't play the game.
Right, you didn't play what the game that they offered you, but, that's just my thoughts.
This is why it's not a real review. This is why these embargoes that they have, you're not allowed to talk about it, not allowed to do this with it. An actual review is when the game comes out, somebody buys the game who's from a credible source, is a gamer, knows how to play video games, doesn't cry when he can't make a double jump, okay? You play the game all the way through, and then you review it. You're not trying to do a mad dash and trying to finish the game as fast as possible. Then because of your inability to understand how the game mechanics work, use that as the basis to negatively affect the review because you don't know how to play the game. And thus, you spread up all this nonsense about the game is crappy when it is not crappy, right? You just didn't play the game properly because you didn't want to bother learning the mechanics because I'm under a deadline. I got to get this out.
Real quick, I want to bring up what Eclipse is saying. Eclipse is saying, but stealth should be still good, and it should still be able to be stealthy without upgrades. I'm sorry if I'm making noise and killing people. Stealthy is as it that matters. Sure, but this is why I didn't like what was that game, the zombie game from the people that made Evolve, Left 4 Dead, not Left 4 Dead. What was that zombie game we played with the cards?
Bloodborne.
Blood. With the chat, you know which one I'm talking about.
It's not Bloodbath.
No, but it's, you know what I'm talking about. Back for Blood. Back 4 Blood. Thank you. I hated Eclipse that in that game, like the way they did their stuff is your level of speed is 100, but they backed it down to 20, and then you had to have a card to give you the extra 20% more like speed when you're walking or moving your gun or faster and stuff like that. That is a game mechanic that they put in the game. In this game, your stealth is not at 100. Your stealth is at like a 20, and you have to go find the things to make your stealth
and be better as a person.
Better at stealth.
You're because you're role playing the character. I got it.
Correct. Okay, you're playing a newbie character. You're playing a character that is acting like she.
You're not a Han Solo.
Right, you're not a Han Solo.
You're just some chick off the planet.
Right, who knows how to. She's like a bare minimum thief. Right, and she's just faking it till she makes it. And while she's meeting new people, she's getting new skills, she's getting new things, she's becoming better at what it is. Okay, and that's the way the game is supposed to be portrayed. Now, if they're doing a good job or not portraying that, that's a separate story.
Yeah, but you just gave the answer. Not one media person, including the developers, explained it that way.
No.
Nobody explained.
No, they do a horrible job. There's things in this game that you have to go to the option menu, go down to see what your what Nyx can do. Okay, like what he can possibly do and stuff. They tell you nothing. They haven't learned anything. It's like when Destiny showed you nothing in the beginning of the game, and the Grimoire cards were hidden behind a third party, like in a website, and you're like, well, who is that person? They don't explain it in the story. You have to go to a third party website, right? It's like certain things like this. Again, the game itself, I'll put it this way. If you are a Star Wars fan and you want to play this game, by all means, no one's going to stop you. Just wait till tomorrow. Don't pay the 110, 120 because you missed that early access window, okay? Pay the $70, wait for it to go on sale, or pay the $18. But if you get the $18 version on Ubisoft Plus, I recommend you get it and cancel the same day, just so you know that in a month's time, it doesn't recharge you because you forget about it or whatnot, right? It is a fun game. It is a good game. They need quality of life, major quality of life things. And this is why when they first talked about it and they had season passes, and now that I'm playing the game and it's not flushed out very much, 1 year's time, this time next year or summertime,
see you later.
They'll say, we heard you, we listened to you, we've added things, quality of life, the things will be better, they'll have more content in there, and then the game will be complete. Okay? This is me not shit-talking the game. I'm truly loving the game. I really do like the game. I think it's really good. Good, not great. I'm having a great time with the Star Wars game and the world that they've built, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like they've flushed out anything. They just kind of put everything. Now, again, this is me telling that at 15 hours, not 40 hours, where I have everything upgraded. Once I have everything upgraded and see what the game feels like then I'll tell you, like, okay, well, I'll take back what I said. I think it's much more flushed out now because now I'm upgraded. But we'll see what happens when I get there, right? Going from that, I want to go through the stop stories, which continues on to Star Wars Outlaws. All right. So the first story I want to talk about is Outlaws, okay? So the Star Wars Outlaws, they had this thing where they had the early access. People paid $110, $130. People on the PlayStation specifically. Yesterday, I did an article where I thought it was all, across all consoles and platforms, and it's not. It affected PlayStation 5 people, right? I think Creature had the problem with his save. So what was happening was, if you played the game early access before the patch came out, you could have played 5 hours, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 15 hours, whatever. People that put that time in the early access part of the game, they paid $110, $130, respectively, because they were excited about the game. Now they played the game, okay, in that early access, and then they came out and said the early access, okay, players, early Star Wars Outlaws PlayStation 5 players paid $110 only to have Ubisoft issue a new patch and tell them to start a new save file or face game-breaking bugs, okay? And if you didn't upgrade, because this is what they told you, like, we recommend you upgrade, right, to the new patch, because if not, there might be a time in the game where you won't be able to progress, right? So that's basically saying, sorry, not sorry, okay? So what they're doing is, they're rewarding the people, okay? So on August 27th, our teams identified the issue with some of the PlayStation 5 players playing in previous versions of the game. We quickly developed or deployed an update to inform affected players to ensure that the game was updated to the last version of 1.000.002 and advised if you're trying a new save to avoid additional issues to progression blockers. Okay, we followed up with the affected PlayStation 5 players today, informed them that we have provided them with an in-game Trailblazer trinket, as well as the 100 Ubisoft Connect units to redeem for in-game rewards, for example, to make the return of the Outer Rim a little bit more special. My problem with this is that fuck your trinket and fuck your little 100 coins for Ubisoft Connect, okay? My problem is that these people are your fans. These are the people that paid $110, $130 because they were excited for Star Wars. They were excited for whatever, okay? They put their time. My number one rule for consumers from the company is respect my time. Giving me a fucking trinket, again, I'm not affected by this. I'm on Xbox. I'm playing on Xbox. I just want to make that clear, okay? But if I was a little... Yesterday, I was put off a little bit, Sarge. I was like, I don't know if I want to play this game. I decided I wasn't going to play it last night, and I was going to play Borderlands 2 with you instead of doing that because I was just like, I don't know if it's going to affect me. After stream, I checked it. It didn't affect me. It didn't affect anybody on the Xbox. It was just on PlayStation 5. So, whatever. But my problem is that Ubisoft should give refunds to anyone that was affected by this. 100%. Not a full refund for, like, the game. The refund that they paid the extra $30, $40 for that part of the game because they got early access. Not a fucking trinket, not $100 in the coins. That's like Blizzard when they fired people. They gave them like a $100 gift card. Thanks for your time. Here's the money that we're going to give you so you can spend it back in the store that we just fired you from, right? Type of thing. It's bullshit, right? And this type of stuff has to stop, right? If you're going to release a game early access, then you need to release that patch before day one of where everyone else gets it. Release it early access day one, so then there's no issues, right, going forward. So other companies that are looking at this right now, hopefully they don't make the same mistake. Right? What do you think about this, Sarge?
Which part?
Well,
there's
the game,
so much.
The game having a problem where it's breaking people's saves. They put a patch out after the fact and not respecting people's time.
Well, not respecting people's time is, I agree with you wholeheartedly because we all have the same amount of time in a day. Right. So we decide what our recreational is going to be. I dislike the fact that we are being, and for lack of a better word, groomed into believing that a game is worth $150 on release when you know the game wasn't worth $60 on release, because it's still the same thing, right? The game isn't done.
Right.
It's just the game isn't done. Now, the fact that they gave you a trinket after taking your $130 is basically a cock slap to the face.
Right.
And if you accepted, and if you as a person,
well, you have to accept it, right? You have no other choice but to accept it.
Yeah, but I would return the thing completely. Like
right.
Right. The contract was I get to play early. And that's not the contract now, right? You wanted that money up front for a specific reason. That reason wasn't met. So now I get a refund. That's how that works.
Right.
Not that we're going to give you some kind of trinket on the side and you have to accept it because oopsie doodle.
Right.
Like, that's not how this works.
Class action lawsuit for Fortnite. They gave V-Bucks. You know what I mean?
If you accept this type of treatment, then you're going to get more of this treatment from here on. They don't understand that we are being slowly manipulated into having zero consumer rights with any kind of digital product at all. Right? It's just the game, Sarge. It's just this, Sarge. It's not a big deal, Sarge. But one day, after you saying over and over again, it's not a big deal, it will be a big deal. And by then it'll be too late because everything will be cemented in, right? Because you constantly give into it, right? Like the joke I had a few days ago during your stream, like, yeah, I'm having a great time. Super. My open relationship with my wife is doing really well.
Yeah, right.
And I love paying for a kid that's not mine. And you know what I mean? Like all
right.
these things that you know are not you, but you just happen to have to deal with it. Like,
right. Well,
the answer is no.
People will just will just deal with it and go, it's not a big deal. I only had 5 hours in. I can do that real fast. It's no big deal. I was only 10 hours in, and I'll do it differently this time or whatever. Like whatever you want to do to comfort yourself that what they did is okay, which is not okay. Sure.
Your ability to cope with your bad consumer decisions doesn't make it correct for the rest of the market, right? Just because you don't know how to balance your checkbook doesn't mean everybody else is supposed to give you some extra money because you just don't know how to do it.
I just don't know how to do it. You gotta feel bad for me.
I just don't know. I just don't understand. Like, so if you're going to create a market where the business owner is allowed to mistreat you every step of the way, give nothing back, and then you just say, yes, can I have another one?
Yes.
Then you are the problem. You are actually the problem.
I had a tweet yesterday because Greg Miller posted this, right? He posted this. Where is it? Right here. This is my tweet. He put a tweet out. This is what Greg Miller said. He said, laugh out loud. Great news. Star Wars Outlaws patch broke your save and lost all your progress. They're giving you a trinket and for your ship. A trinket. When you replay all the stuff and have Ubisoft Connect units, he says, remember, you needed to pay $100 plus to play this early. And I said, people that paid money to get this early access should get a refund, and Ubisoft should give them a trinket and the coin on top of that. And this Ubisoft and Massive's fault, and the gamers should not accept this and anything less. But here we are. People should just be good little gamers and take it. And I have little Oliver, please, sir, may I have some more? Yeah, that's exactly right. Right? That's exactly right.
I fail to understand what benefit does it have for you to give into something that gives you no benefit at all. If you were to follow that logic with anything else in your life, you'd be homeless, right? You'd be homeless and penniless. But for you, it doesn't matter. So apparently, as long as you make enough money and you throw it against the wall, your form of entertainment doesn't matter to you. But for the other people who maybe don't have jobs and they're children, most of them are children. Like, once again, you guys are putting yourselves in a position where I'm the old man, right? I play video games because I chose this form of media over other media because I find enjoyment in this. So I stayed with this. However, I'm an old man who plays video games, and I'm not even as good as the old guy who can one-shot people in Call of Duty. The grandpa guy. I watch him all the time. I think that's hilarious. He's like, he'll go and kill people at a whim. He's awesome. And he's like 70. Okay. But for you to not understand that the majority of people that this industry is built off of is daddy's wallet, mommy and daddy's wallet, and children play these games. Now, if you as an adult want to take a cock to the face because you don't care about getting dicked over, right? That doesn't mean it's okay for every other kid on the block is okay that they have to pay for your mistake.
Right.
Because you don't care.
Right. Right. Because you're okay with it. Everyone else has to deal with it because, again, my neighbor's house is on fire, but it's not affecting me type of thing.
As long as it's not affecting me, but it
does affect you.
Right.
Until it is. Until it does.
Until it is.
Right. So that's what's happening with Star Wars Outlaws. Hopefully, down the road, that quality of life patch comes in, the DLCs come in, and they just...
When you say quality of life, do you actually mean like complete game?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by quality of life? Because you're trying to sugarcoat something that has no sugarcoating.
I'm not sugarcoating it.
Finish the game.
Finish the game.
Quality of life.
Well, that's what it is, though.
Finish the game.
Right? They didn't finish the game, so they have to do quality of life. Cyberpunk did it. Battlefield did it.
Start using soft language to change the meaning of what is going on.
Oh, sure. I'm just joking around. Yeah, I'm sure.
And is it good? Yes. Is it a 7? No, it's a 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's mid.
So what I'm saying is by this time next year, once the complete game comes out, after they add the quality of life stuff in the game, you'll go, yeah, it's a good game. People mistreated it when it came out. No, I think they gave it a fair shake. I'm playing it. I like it. But at the same time, it is missing lots and lots of, the rest of the game.
The reviewers are not giving this a fair shake. A fair shake to the reviewers that we see right now is the same kind of shake you give to your little wee-wee when you're done tissing, right? That's the fair shake. That's the fair shake, okay?
More than 3 shakes, you're playing with it. Yeah, you're playing with it.
We all know, right? Reviewers need... this is a simple concept, right? If you put a sign outside your door that says, I'm a reviewer, right? Okay, well, you're a reviewer. You buy the game, right? You play the game. If it takes you a week, if it takes you a month. And by the way, if you're an actual reviewer, it doesn't mean that you get to review every game, right? If you don't have the time, then you don't have the time, right? But you don't get to review every game, right? Because if 3 or 4 games come out, right, and you're an actual reviewer, you put the sign outside your house, right? This is my business. I'm a reviewer. If you're going to review that game, then you actually have to play the game as a gamer.
Right.
Someone who will buy the game, go home, go through the trials and tribulations of what that game is. The entire review process is you having to experience the game.
Last year when they first announced this game, and then about 6 months ago when they announced the season pass and all that stuff, I said, this game's not going to be done when it comes out. Not going to be done. Not because of the DLC that's not in the game. It's because it do you know why the speeder bike doesn't have turbo when you first get the game? Do you know why you have to do the hacking?
Because the guy you found in the beginning isn't smart enough to do it.
No,
you have to get him a book. You have to find a book for him
from
to
a
read,
consumer standpoint, from a business standpoint, Sarge. Do you know why you don't have the turbo on the bike right away? Do you know why you have to press the button and you have to do the rhythm game to get into a door?
Crunch time.
Just to get more time into the game. Because if you're a person that plays the game and you own it, you could shut that shit off. Whatever. You can shut it off too if you're just paying $18. But they want you in that game as long as possible to get the recurring of $18. Okay, or if you don't want to pay the $18, they'll take the money up front. 110, 130. Okay, and then you wait 8 months for the DLC and stuff and the rest of the game to be inserted, so it's a finished product. And they'll be like, oh, we heard what you're saying. We really like you. Thanks for the support. We got to put this in the game. Oh, by the way, now Kay can use other weapons and you can store it on your bike, right? Like that's what they'll add down the road, right? Just like Starfield, we put a vehicle in the game, right? 1 year later.
But why else? Right, and I'm trying to be sincere about this. I'm not going to go on a rant, but it just doesn't make sense. Why else would you charge $130 in the beginning or $18 a month when you know full well there's going to be DLC and Battle Pass? Of course, you're going to have to go months afterwards because you're going to want to stay in it until the rest of that game comes out because you've got to finish it. So what they told you was, well, if you want to pay the $18, great. But if you want to pay for the game, we're going to have to charge you the amount of money that we thought you were going to be in the game for.
Exactly.
Right. So you're paying the asshole
right.
fee
Just in case you leave early. We want that money up front. Yeah, up front.
We want the money up front that you don't even get to play the DLC for. We want that money up front. That's exactly what that is.
I know. And that's why
100%.
And that's why I said what I said before. So, all right, moving on from Star Wars, I want to move on to the biggest game right now, which is Black Myth Wukong, right? Black Myth Wukong.
It was Concord.
No, the biggest game right now is the biggest flop right now is the biggest game right now is Wukong, right? Where it says 10 million. You guys can't see it, but it says 10 million. That just looks like zeros. Let me close that a little bit here. Okay, no, that doesn't work. All right, let me go back here and leave it like that. It's got 10 million units sold across all platforms. All platforms is PC and PlayStation, right? It says it had 3 million concurrent players across all platforms, and we know 2.4 million were on PC. So roughly, it's like 20%. So there's like 7 million people playing on PC, and there's like 2.2 million, 2.1 million playing on PlayStation. So it's very successful, right? Now, people are like, why isn't it on Xbox? Okay. Now, the story before the podcast started, Krebsy and them were all talking in chat, and I was like, I read the thing, and my initial reaction was, who the fuck is the source of saying that what's happening? Okay, because a story was written that, this is the first story, that was written on August 26th, and it's written by Inciting Gamer, or Forbes, I think, also had one as well. Okay, Paul Tassi. And he says, Black Myth Wukong's Xbox release is indefinitely delayed due to a memory leak bug, it's claimed. Now, obviously, from the PlayStation fanboys, they're laughing at Xbox. They're like, it's because of your S, right? It's because of your S, not your ass, just in case everyone's wondering. Because of your Xbox Series S, right? And everyone's like, they're like, no, Xbox came out. It's because of quality control. It's quality control. It didn't make the two things for quality control, so that's why it's not on there. And even though they're both agreeing on the same thing, right? The quality control for the S wasn't hit, and that's why it's not on the thing. But now there's a source, and I don't really want to talk about what the new story is. I want to talk about who the fuck am I supposed to believe, right? And this is what I want to talk about, okay? So since this, from 3 days ago, we have a new thing. It says Black Myth Wukong isn't on Xbox yet due to the exclusivity deal, okay? Now, people were talking about this, saying that there was no exclusivity deal. It's just because it's not on Xbox because of the problems of memory leak and the optimization, whatever they were working on it for, right? I said, before any of this broke, I said the reason I think it's not on Xbox is because what they're called, Game Science, I think is the company, right? They're a smaller studio when they were making this game, right? This is their first AAA game. They didn't have the resources and power to do all three platforms. So I said myself, I don't have any factual thing on this. This is just what I thought. My opinion was that they picked the largest platforms that they could make the most money from. And it looks like a smart choice because it's PC and PlayStation, right? But now it's coming out that Black Myth Wukong is an exclusive deal that PlayStation made in the background that nobody knows about because no one's admitting to it. And it says this is one of the stranger sagas of console exclusivity. It's quite a while now since it received the information that I consider while the final word on the situation. As of Xbox does not currently have Black Myth Wukong available, and while the game has launched on PC and PlayStation 5. A source with specific knowledge of the situation has told me that, contrary to the previous reporting, and even departing from the Game Science own statement, that the reason that Black Myth Wukong is not currently on Xbox is due to exclusivity deal, not because of some sort of technical issue causing the delay in the release on the game. IGN has also confirmed the same information. Okay, so this is from Paul Tassi. Okay, this article is from Paul Tassi. He's saying that someone reached out to him, okay, and that same person or somebody else reached out to IGN and said the same thing to them. Okay, so like if I had the information, I went, hey, Paul, this is what's happening. Hey, IGN, this is what's happening. And then IGN says, yeah, we heard the same thing. And Paul's like, yeah, we heard the same thing, right? So now they're running with, hold on a second. They're running with this as, now this is the information. Now, all the other outlets are reporting off of these two, of IGN and Paul Tassi from Forbes, to say that this is the reason, and now all of a sudden, the society, social media is all on top of this now saying, well, this is the reason. It's because they have exclusivity, right? So my question to you, Sarge, of all of this is, who the fuck are we supposed to believe? Are we supposed to believe Game Science, who are the people that made the game and said, no, yeah, we're optimizing for Xbox, and this is the reason that it's not on Xbox yet, because it didn't pass the things? Or are we supposed to believe the new article that came out, which is Paul Tassi and IGN saying, oh, no, it's because of the exclusivity deal. We just don't know the actual reason because this is back channels that people are saying this is the actual thing that's going to happen. Now, this could be true, but we don't know if it's factual or fiction. But we do know that Game Science made the game. We do know that Game Science is the people saying that why it's not on Xbox. But now I'm not supposed to believe them because the journalists said that otherwise. They have a source that says otherwise.
There, once again, you always give me these compound questions that I'm going to lose my mind even trying to figure out which way I want to go first. Okay, let's start at the top. Okay, as a journalist, an actual journalist, okay, they are supposed to be the eyes and the ears and the voice of the people, right? The information that they get is supposed to be credible, and they're supposed to have two credible sources. So the way that you're speaking about it, if the mystery guy tells IGN, and then the mystery guy also tells
could be could be the same mystery guy, could be the separate mystery guy.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's the same guy. If Paul Tassi and IGN start talking to each other, they can't use each other as one of the credible sources and then the mystery guy, right? That's not how this works. When you are getting information, you're supposed to check the facts from the actual source and get two conferring sources that say the same thing. If you don't do that, then all you're looking for is fucking clicks.
Right.
Okay? That's it. Right? That's the bottom line. Now, moving on. The way that this is talked about, right? The way that they talk about the story. When you're looking at this, if I use deductive reasoning, let's just say just baseline, like maybe like 6th grade level. Like if the money in my pocket's missing and the bully from school bumped into me twice, I'm going to guess that it possibly was the bully who took my money because he was the only one that bumped into me, right? Like basic shit, right? So if you say to somebody that this is the reason, and here's the trick with the verbiage here, is if we know already that the S can't handle certain games, it just can't. So now, just because they said it's because of the S doesn't mean that that's true. However, we'll put a flag in it and say, well, it's definitely a possibility because it's happened in the past. And based on the graphics you guys are talking about and the kind of memory your game needs, that pin and that flag is credible. So we're going to put that over here on the right. Okay. Then you're going to say, well, there was an exclusive deal. We didn't know. Right. So at this point in time, both things can be true. You can have the S is not powerful enough to run it. So we decided not to do it on Xbox for fear of missing out on the money. And also, it doesn't run because of the memory leak. We couldn't have it, right? Both things can be true.
Well,
I don't appreciate the fact that most of these guys who are trying to tell you a story are not trying to tell me a story. They're trying to get clicks, right? And I think the way the clicks should work is if you don't find out the facts of the story and it's found out that what you said isn't true or is just made up, then you get your channel removed for the month until you figure out your shit, all right? Because I'm tired of listening to people who call themselves journalists. I'm supposed to be able to pick up a paper or read the article or read journalism, and I'm supposed to get the facts of what it is I'm reading. Do I trust the corporations? No. Am I going to trust a developer who's trying to sell product is going to tell me the exact truth about the product? No, right? The journalist is supposed to identify what is happening in the market and tell the consumer what the fuck is going on. If I can't trust you, then there's nobody to trust.
Right. And that's my problem. That's my problem here because let me go down the rabbit hole even more here, right? That I'm thinking as you're talking. Let's just say that Sony is doing a exclusivity deal, but it's so hush hush that nobody knows it's underneath the table, right? Which it could be, right? We've heard some weird shit in the video game industry that's happened. So now let's go with this, right? Sony paid exclusivity again, fictitious. We don't know. I'm just trying to because someone's coming in. Someone's coming in right now going, that's not true. Right? I'm making up a scenario here.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter because I have a source, right? But I don't have a source, right?
No, what I'm saying to you is, does it matter?
No, but
they want to make money.
Correct. But here's the thing: if Sony is backroom dealing exclusivity, And Game Science is not saying that, yeah, we got exclusivity. They paid us money up front to have this, right? So now, remember that PlayStation back in the day said that, well, Xbox could hurt our games by making games worse on purpose, right? This is what they said. And we actually had a conversation about this, Sarge. I said, why would they say that? Meaning they've done it in the past to other people, hence why they said that Xbox could do that to them, right? Now we're talking about this, and we're hearing a story, potentially, that someone behind the scenes says that there's an exclusivity deal, and Game Science is saying, well, we can't put it on Xbox because memory leakage, right? So I'm not saying this is happening. I'm saying potentially plausible that this could be happening, that Sony is literally paying off people behind the scenes, okay? Because remember, Sony did do this to keep people from doing crossplay. Remember this? Where they were paying people behind the scenes for crossplay that they wouldn't make crossplay.
Members.
Yeah, Petra's Farmer members. Okay, so potentially, based off of this, they could have paid to have exclusivity, and Game Science is like, yeah, we have a memory leakage problem, and we'll just get to it when it gets to it, without saying that they actually have exclusivity deal with PlayStation.
But exactly the same point is right there, right? If they have an exclusivity deal or the S can't handle it because of memory leakage, both things can be true.
Correct.
Right? You can't, in that position, you can't even call them a liar because they're both saying something that's possibly true, but we don't know what's the truth because I don't have someone looking into it.
Right. And that's my issue with this whole story. It's not if they do have exclusivity or they don't have exclusivity, if it's the optimization or the S.
It doesn't matter.
We don't know who to fucking believe of the people that are actually making the stories.
So in that case, in this instance, for this particular story, I would roll back to deductive reasoning. I'm a company. I want to make money.
Yeah.
I want to make the most money possible. What are my options? Well, if I put it on PlayStation and PC, right, we know PC will do fine because people can, the beast machines will run it perfect and they'll brag about it and we'll be good, right? PlayStation 5's got more users, right? So if we're going to sell, you want to sell to the console that's got more users.
And that's what I said before the game even came out, yeah.
So now, in order for me to say, why don't I sell to Xbox? Because the little kid's going to come tugging on my shirt. Daddy, Daddy, why can't I get one? Well, now I have to make up a story. The first story is, well, your S is a piece of shit, son. And it doesn't run well, so I can't sell to you because I'm trying to make money. Or we have an exclusive deal with PlayStation, and someone paid me a truckload of money in order not to give it to Xbox because I want to make money. In both those cases, the answer is, I want to make money.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
The point is that if I'm asking for the facts of the case, I'm supposed to be able to go, hey, journalists, what the fuck is going on over here?
Right.
And they're supposed to go and do journalism.
But the same thing is
investigative reporting.
Right, but the same thing's happening because the person that reported.
Do you have an exclusive deal?
Right, they reached out.
Do you have an exclusive deal?
They reached out
yes
and they haven't answered the question.
Yes or no?
Right, they haven't answered the question. But my point is that
or no.
The article is written by one person 3 days ago saying one thing, and then 3 days later, a source comes out and says, no, this is not the reason why it's delayed. It's delayed because they have exclusivity, right? And you guys in chat saying, well, Sony would be screaming from the rooftops. No, they wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't.
Remember the story I told you? Remember the story I told you just last week, 2 weeks ago about the gas station that Wawa was trying to build, and then silently Wawa couldn't build there because the 7-Eleven owner paid a shit ton of money. You think he would scream from the rooftops? Yeah, I kept Wawa out of the thing. No, he kept quiet because in the long run, he's going to make a shit ton more money, right? Why would they scream from the rooftops if it was exclusive? Because it is exclusive. Automatically, it's exclusive because it's not on the other platform. It's the only place you can play it is on the PlayStation, right? So even if they did pay or didn't pay, it's exclusivity for a limited time or whatever it is. Just like Indiana Jones is exclusive for Xbox for a limited time.
But this is why I say both can be true. Now, whether or not the exclusivity deal is real or not, the fact that people will talk about it will take the fire away from the fact that the S can't play it.
Which is true.
Right? So it doesn't matter which version you want to believe. It doesn't matter if it's exclusive or not. We know by deductive reasoning based on past events that certain games can't work on the goddamn S. We know it, they know it, and we're going to pretend like nobody knows.
Right.
Like we know.
Dave Langer says if you're paying for exclusivity, you want the marketing rights. Marketing rights are completely two different things than exclusivity for a console. Marketing rights are two different things. You can get non-exclusivity and get the marketing rights, which they do when they go to reward shows and stuff like that, where they're playing it and they go, only on the PlayStation, only on the Xbox, even though it's for all consoles. They paid for the marketing rights. That's how that works, right? Those are two separate things. Marketing rights and exclusivity are two different things, and they would not scream from the rooftops, especially since roughly they sold about 2.1, 2.5 million units right now, Black Myth Wukong on PlayStation. So obviously they're making good money from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but that's the point. That's the point.
But I still want to know, who the fuck am I supposed to trust? The people that say what it is, or the journalists that say it isn't?
Well, once again, I've got my running list of people. Every time I read a story that looks far-fetched, I put the name down and I put the article and I put it on the board.
You have like all those
and I
lines connecting
with the red lines. And if you keep coming up with the same crappy stories and you're the same crappy writer, then I put you in the category of you're basically trash mag. You're a trash mag writer, right? You're not doing any journalism. You called 3 people. 3 people talked to 2 people, and those 2 people called somebody, and somebody told them via email. Somebody via email told them that it was true. So they say, "Well, I called A and B. Source is confirmed." Like, no, it's not confirmed. It's not.
Right. I mean, obviously, 3 days from now, they could come out and say, "Here's the source. Here's what it is. It actually is exclusivity." And then what will people do then? Who would defend it then? If it comes out it's true that they paid for exclusivity without telling people they paid for exclusivity,
what would it matter?
It wouldn't
all
matter.
All that is.
It would give trust back to the journalists.
All that is
right?
Is PlayStation and Sony trying to cover their ass in a publicity thing, and that way they want to make money. That's it. It's not a big deal. There doesn't need to be some kind of hidden agenda. And by the way, when you do an exclusivity deal, you're paying the company or the devs not to put it on Xbox. You're giving them money not to put it on Xbox.
Correct. And it's
not that it's an exclusivity deal that they made with Sony and that's it. You basically gave the other company money not to be there.
Right.
So you're still getting paid. They're still getting paid. They just didn't want that to be known that that company has that game. Okay?
All right.
People jump back and forth from the little kid world into the real world. And the video games has not been part of the little kid world now for probably a decade.
All right. Moving on to the next story. Speaking of, clusterfucks and whatnot. Concord. Okay. Concord's rocky launch is less than complicated than you think. I read this article earlier today talking about Concord. And in the article, they talk about how it's not as simple as that it's because of the DEI or the SBI or because of the gameplay, right? It's not the $40 thing. I said earlier, Sarge, in my morning stream, I said that Concord, in my opinion, if there was a pie chart of why people, like what people don't like about the game or, why isn't it popular, that 60% of that chart would be filled with the $40 price tag. Okay. Again, there's no proof of that. That's what it is. I believe that's what it is. I believe that the gatekeeping to stop people from getting this majority is the $40 price tag. I do think the other pieces are the DEI, the game that doesn't look better than the other free-to-play game that's out there and whatnot. They didn't innovate the game much. People that play it like it, but there's not enough people playing. So much so that it's dropped now below 100 people. I guess we could look at. Let me look at what the thing is now.
I thought it was under 200 people.
No, it's below 100 people on Steam. Right. Let's see. Right now we're at 171. It dropped below today, below 100 at one point. The max is 697. Okay, so Concord is in bad shape right now, and what can they do to turn it around? I don't think they can do anything to turn it around. I think that it's done its course. It's dead on arrival. Literally, there's people playing, and people on PC. The longer it stays out, the lower that number is going to get because people are going to be playing it and saying, "I can't get into matchmaking. I'm tired of this, and then move around. And the only way it ticks up a little bit is like what Suicide Squad did. It's like, oh, season 1's out. Here's a new character, and people come back to see what the new character is, and then it drops back down super fast because, again, matchmaking and whatnot is the problem.
Of course, it lives and dies by the community.
Right. So
it's a PvP game.
So it's a rocky start for that. And then I think this is the one that talks about. Oh no, this is wrong. They talked about an 8-year development cycle for Concord.
I don't believe that for a moment.
Yeah. And this is
I'm gonna go with deductive reasoning on that one as well.
So my problem with this is Star Wars is a single player game, and I think it was made in like 3 to 4 years. Okay, and that's just a really big open world game. Starfield, which is a game that's massive, has the open world took 8 years to make. No Man's Sky took 6 years to make, and that was 18 quintillion planets and whatever else when it first launched, and now it's been another 8 years since then. Much bigger, larger games took a lot longer. Fortnite, Save the World, took 8 years. Okay, BR took 3 months. Okay, now Concord is a hero shooter, yet it took 8 years to develop this. How? Again, I'm not a developer. I don't want to pretend I'm a developer, but just looking at other games like Overwatch and all these other things, okay, it didn't take Overwatch 8 years to make Overwatch. Okay, it didn't even take Destiny 8 years to make Destiny 1. Okay, and that's a much bigger game than this hero shooter, right? So where the fuck did the 8 years go? And how would they save this game if they can save this game?
There's once again compound question. Number one, they're not going to save this game. It might get a spike later on down the road for some reason.
They said they're finishing out the 3 seasons. By the way, they said that they're still on course for the 3 seasons.
They will not finish those 3 seasons.
I think they will, but I think it'll change drastically by the time.
They say that because they want to see how many people actually buy stuff in the stores.
Right, to show support that, hey, we're not dropping the game. It's going to be around for at least 3 seasons or a year or whatever.
Right, so it's not going to be saved. But my question is, I will believe you that it took 8 years to make that game if they had half as many people that they used to make Overwatch. Right? Like if you had less developers, actual bodies working on the game, and it took you 8 years, then maybe I'll believe you. But then I use my brain again and I go, okay, so 8 years ago, you guys saw a game that came out that was fantastic, everyone loved, called Overwatch, and you decided right then and there that flash in the pan game you were going to copy. But you figured out that by the time you were done with it, it was going to be 8 years later, and you think that game was still going to be as popular then that it is today, 8 years ago. Right? You got to have some type of balls on you in the finance department to try to sell that to an investor, that you're trying to chase a trend that you don't even know why it was popular, and then do it incorrectly and then bitch about it. The cherry on this cake that I haven't proved yet, because I'm listening to this other story that's connected to Concord, is the fact that allegedly, and I don't know, I do not know this is fact. I'm trying to put the pieces together myself, right? Allegedly, the developers were awarded a grant, right? Of what I don't know the type of grant, but they got money from the government in order to make the game. Okay. Right, that's right. So now, even if that's true,
what was that game? What was that game from Korea that did the same thing? They had. Oh, Skull and Bones. It was Skull and Bones. It was Skull and Bones had a grant as well.
Right. So even though you believe that happened, it's still a waste of resources. But the reason why they did it is because it wasn't their money, and they had a possibility of raking in hundreds of millions of dollars. So of course they took the chance. This is the difference. You, even if I take out the grant and it's you gambling, you're gambling on a game that's 8 years old that you think you're going to hit the nail on the head and your game's going to be like Overwatch. You thought that spending over $100 million on a game for the possibility of making close to $1 billion was worth it. Right. So you did it, right? This wasn't some kind of concrete evidence that your investors were going to pay off in the end. You basically wanted to do a Hail Mary, and the risk was worth it. Right. So you did it. So do I feel guilty that the company's going to go tits up? No. But what I will say is, You guys should get the names of everybody who's in the upper echelons of that company. CFO, CEO, everybody up in the upper management. Don't worry about the little guys. They don't count.
They're owned by Sony, so.
You find out the guys at the top, and then you follow where they go, because that's a crock of shit, bro. I don't feel bad at all.
So
zero guilt. Zero.
Dave Langer says, Firewalk Studios started in 2018. That is 6 years ago. So how did it take 8 years? Well, here's the thing, Dave. We just had a conversation about who we're supposed to believe. We're supposed to believe the journalist. We're supposed to believe the developers. Same thing. The developer that worked on the game said the game took 8 years of development. The developer said it took 8 years of development. The articles and what you look up for the company says it's 6 years. Who am I supposed to believe? I'm gonna go with the developer that said they worked at the studio and they've been working on it for 8 years.
What's my baseline for development? My idea on a piece of paper on a board, and we all stare at it.
I don't know.
And we think about what we're gonna do with it. If that took a year, does that count as a year?
I don't know.
We thought about it. It's part of the process. We were jotting down ideas. We put them on a board. We were staring at them.
Right.
That took a year. Does that count?
Yep.
Like what do you consider?
Potentially. Yep.
What do you consider the development cycle?
I mean, anything you worked on the game, right? That's like when an accountant works on something, they jot down the time they've worked on something.
Anybody currently right now who's chasing trends of games that are doing well, I will never ever buy from. If you don't have the balls in your studio to take a chance on your own people and make something, and I'm not saying it has to be a AAA game, but to make something from the soul of your clients, the people who work for you, and take a chance, that's the chance you take. Those are the chances that you take. You're not supposed to make a AAA game, slam it out of the park their first day out. You're supposed to build a team of guys who can work together, who jive together, who come up with the same type of ideas, who have the same thinking process, and they come out with a banger, right? That's how you end up with the games that have lasted multiple generations of consoles, because those guys started small and they built something.
Do you think that this game, one, goes free to play, or do you think they stay strong with the $40 price tag?
Absolutely goes free to play and then dies a mercy killing.
Do you think
we're gonna play the Old Yeller theme? We're gonna do the Old Yeller. We're gonna play the scene from Old Yeller.
I think it goes free to play by October. I think it goes free to play. I think they're waiting to see what the first season is.
You're not making it to the end of September.
Okay, I think it'll go to October. I think they're gonna wait to see what. I don't even know when season 1 comes out. I think this game was something else before it turned into the hero shooter. I do. I believe
that as well, because
there's no way it was in development. Yeah, no way it was in development for this long, and it's just
a hero shooter,
right? Yeah,
not a hero shooter.
So from that, let's go to what else I got here. We already did the Star Wars story. Well, let's go to Foamstars, right? Foamstars, which is another game from Sony, and that the game came out, I believe, in February, if I'm not mistaken. And Foamstars is going to go free to play, right? Foamstars is currently available for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 and will change from its current regional pricing to free to play starting on October 4th, 2024 at 1 a.m. In addition to previously subscription, PlayStation Plus has required to play Foamstars. After the price change, consumers who are not subscribed to PlayStation Plus may download and play Foamstars for free. For those who are downloaded Foamstars before the change in price, we're planning to distribute a free legacy gift that includes these exclusive in-game items, 12 exclusive color variant Bubble Beast skins, 1 exclusive sideboard design, and 1 title legacy. The reason I'm bringing this up, Sarge, we just talked about Concord. Just like what they're doing with Foamstars right now, I talked about this earlier, and I found this after the fact, but the skins that they just said, that they're going to give you 12 exclusive color variant bubble whatever skins. I see this happening with Concord. Someone brought it up earlier. I forget who it was. Pardon me if I forget who said it. But they said it'd be funny if they, I think it was Crowded. I think Crowded House said it. Said that it'd be funny if they put skins in the game to make the base level characters look better, right? In Concord. And I said, well, that's actually a pretty smart idea. If they make better looking skins, give them to the people that paid $40 for free as a thank you of, hey, thanks for your $40. We're going free to play now. They're going to give all skins for free for those people that paid the $40. And then everyone else will come in with free to play. And then they'll have to pay the $10 for those cool looking skins or $15 for those cool looking skins, because nobody wants the base skins because they look shitty, right? They don't like the character styles and whatnot, but if they made really badass skins, now to say this is not going to bring back Concord anyway. It'll do a little uptick and stuff like that. But what Foamstars is doing, I think they're going to do the exact same thing with Concord. I think they're going to make it free to play. Foamstars is free to play after 6 months. Concord is going to go speed track because, or I should say the fast track, because it's not going to be out for 6 months before they do that. They're going to do it within a month and a half to 2 months.
It's just bizarro world, man. It's just bizarro world. I don't believe in this half-assness of chasing games, man. I just don't. By this token, we should be expecting games like Baldur's Gate to be coming out in 3 years, right? Like people trying to copy Baldur's Gate, or people trying to copy
a lot of Helldivers, Pal World, stuff like that. Yep.
I fully believe Helldivers clones are coming out, just not right away, right? It's absolutely right. It's sad to me with all the talented people that we have out here that they're getting so. I'm not saying this as like a feel guilty for them type of thing, but the development teams are being abused to the point where they can't find a home with a group of guys that are like-minded, that they actually want to make a good product. The art of developing, like the artistry of it. Like they want to be part of a company that has a like-minded goal. And instead, they make a game, force it out, try to hook it up to a tow truck, drag it for the next year, and then they're fired anyway, and they go back into the pool. And then other companies are looking for developers, and they're looking for developers in this and looking for developers. Like, I understand how the job market works, but the turnover rate for all these people, all it does is downgrade the ability for these guys to do good work, especially if they were coming up out of school, they got a good job, they got married, they have kids, and now they're in flux, right? So now you're in panic mode the whole time, that every time you get a job and do a job for a company that you don't even know if you're going to be there after the game is released, you're basically putting your job on you're basically looking for other jobs before you're finishing the job you're on, because you don't even know if you're going to be there. How do you think mentally your creativeness is stable at all if you're in a business where you think, I might not be here in 3 years? I got to find out where I'm going to go from here. Right. Do I have to move my family again? Do I have to move from California to Oregon, or from Oregon to Utah, or from Utah? Like, I got to keep moving I got to keep moving to find a job because I got nothing stable.
That's unfortunately that's the business.
I don't see how that's sustainable.
No.
I don't see how you're going to get AAA quality titles in an environment where everybody is just living on the edge.
Yeah,
it's not possible.
I agree, but they also, as employees, don't stick around as much. They're not going to get paid as much, right? They're going to be on that contract basis where they don't make as much as day rate, but they'll take the job because that's the job that they can get.
Because they have to.
Right.
Because they got 2 kids.
Well, speaking of that, there's let's go to this one, right? Greedfall, right? Greedfall is a game that is coming out, and it's coming out in early access. Because when I read this story earlier this week, I was confused. It's like, wait a minute, they're going on strike, but the game comes out in just 1 month. I was like, the company doesn't give a shit if you go on strike. But what actually is happening is that it's coming out in early access in 1 month, right? So the Greedfall developers are going on strike, okay, because the management's treating workers like they said, quote, galley slaves on a boat, okay? It says developers' upcoming fantasy role-playing game Greedfall 2 have announced that plans to strike in protest of management just a few weeks before the game comes out, which is miscuing because it's not coming out. It's coming out in early access. So a Paris-based studio, Spiders, which also developed Steel Rising and also Technomancer, published a open letter signed by 44 of the 95 staff studio management. So half the studio, basically, a little less than half the studio, is signing this, saying they're going to go on strike. The open letter details several years of known problems, which also been greatly amplified over the past year, and also arrives on the current head of the company: instability, options, anticipation of problems, security, working conditions, global management, turnover, recruitment problems, also unexpected delays in achieving gender equity and also parity, important lack of transparency, denial of problems, refusal to acknowledge worker representation, and blocked negotiations, right? So as you were just saying, like, how are these people supposed to keep their jobs and stuff? So they're doing all of this, right? Mismanagement of all of these developers. They're making this game. It's coming out in early access in 1 month, and then it comes out sometime next year, right? So obviously this game's going to be delayed. right? Obviously, this game is going to be delayed because even if the early access and they go on strike, no one's going to be working, or half the staff's going to be working on it and whatnot. So right now, because of the strike that's going to be happening, Greedfall is basically dead in the water. Because Greedfall, let me read this sentence real fast down here, because this is what they said. The staff, it says, workers are alleged to suffer difficult production, and there are also widespread anxiety and loss of interest amongst employees. The staff also said that there suffered significant crunch working of the game. So for many, in this in translation, it says, into fear of releasing a disappointing game, the devs are saying this, releasing a disappointing game at the end of it, and feeling ashamed over their own work. The workers said for some is the last straw to push them to look for work elsewhere. These developers don't like what's happening in the company because they don't feel like they're putting the best game forward, right? And this is what I've talked about: make a game, sell a game, put all your effort in that game and sell that game and get behind it. The developers, this almost feels like a Redfall situation where they don't want to make the game that they're making because of what's happening with the management, the mismanagement issues that's happening there. So now the company's like, yeah, we don't want to put this product out. This product comes out in 1 month in early access and basically 13 or 14 months for a complete release. And these guys are saying, I'm done. I don't want to put my name on this. I don't want to show this because I don't think it's going to be good, right? So I don't know about chat, but I'm excited about Greedfall. I can't wait to pre-order the bonus extra exclusive edition that's digital only, right?
I know, I say this about every 3 or 4 weeks. I know that most suits think that a development company is like a normal company who makes a product, right? I know you need to have deadlines. I understand that if you don't have a deadline, things won't get done. However, at the level that we're talking about, set by them, not by us, the kind of graphics that we're looking for, the kind of game mechanics that we're looking for, the kind of experiences that we're looking for is not because we decided to go out and we demanded that it be this way. Them, they showed us what they could do, and they kept trying to one-up themselves. So now they put themselves in a position where the bar is at such a level that if we don't see the bar, I'm not even talking about above the bar. If I don't see the bar in the same room, I don't even look at you. So now they have the balls to say, well, we just can't do it. There's too much crunch. There's too much this. Yeah, because that's based on the fact that you're trying to release 5 games in 5 years, right? As opposed to releasing 2 games
you're talking about the company,
in 5 years. Right. You cannot predict the amount of revenue you're going to make from a video game. They want reoccurring revenue. And if you don't believe me, ask Gamepass. If you don't believe for a moment that they're looking for stability in the digital marketplace, it's Gamepass, because they're getting $400+ million a month doing nothing. That's stability.
Right.
In order for me to have a company and pump out 5 games in 5 years, do you know what kind of risk management that has to be and what kind of teams I have to have? Well, of course you're releasing half-ass games. Of course we're patching day one. Of course we are.
I just want to make sure that you know that this is just a single company and not like Xbox with multiple games and companies.
It doesn't matter.
No, I know. I just want to make sure, because people will listen to this and thinking that you're talking about this specific company. You're talking about the industry in general.
I'm happy that those guys decided to stand up and say, you know what? I don't want to put my name on it.
Right.
Because if you say that I don't want to put my name on it, that means the last 3 to 5 years that you worked, basically you were being cracked up with the whip and you were doing shit that you just had to do, not because you enjoyed, because what you were doing.
You're right there.
Right? No. I forget my arm's fucked up, and when I move it, I fuck myself up. So the point is that I'm glad they do it. I think more developers should do this. Well, I think right before. Listen, you want to know why it's a good idea? Here's the reason why it's a good idea. Whether or not the game does well or not, they're getting fired anyway. Right. We've already seen it.
Yeah,
We've already seen it.
Right.
We've already seen it. If the game does well, you're fired. If the game doesn't do well, you're fired immediately. It's just a postponement of you being fired. And so if that's the way it's going to be, then you should say it out loud, and as many media places that will hear you. I didn't want to work on this game. This is how they treated us. I didn't even care about the game. They said we had to get out before Christmas, and this is what it looks like. I'm out. Yeah, right? That's exactly what they should do. This
is why more game companies are doing unions, right? Blizzard got union, Bethesda got union, the quality testers at Activision got union.
But unions are not going to be the solution.
No, but there has to be some sort of protection for these guys, right? To work 16-hour days and whatnot, and the crunch time.
Yes.
So what they're doing is, you're absolutely right, though. They have integrity. At least some of these developers, at least the 44 people that signed, said,
good.
We don't want to do this. We don't want to put our names on this. We don't want to put a shitty product out there, and this is going to be a shitty product based on if we keep doing what we're doing. Right. So they're like, we're going to strike because they're not listening to us. If they're not listening to us, then we have to do something about it. So they're putting their lifeline out there saying, look, we're going to get hit, but I'd rather go on strike than put a piece of shit out. Right. Speaks loud. I respect them. Yep.
That's called integrity.
Right. Yeah.
Not a lot of that going around.
No, none at all, really. Right.
Speaking of integrity, how's Mr. Parsons doing?
Oh, well, we can get a Parson check-in. Let me go to
how's old Petey doing?
I have his. Oh, here he is. I got him. Ready? Is Pete Parsons still at Bungie? Yep. Yeah. Yep. He's still at Bungie, and he added a couple new cars. I see this week.
Oh, look at that! Oh, he got Lightning McQueen.
That's
Lightning
a good McQueen. One. Yeah, he bought the Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
You got like a little Tesla up there.
Still there.
Got the Charger. Got the old Corvette now.
He's
doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Integrity.
Yeah,
he's doing well.
He's doing really well. He's doing really good.
He's doing well.
Yeah, I guess very good. Mr. Pete Carson. I like it. Carson. Got it.
I'm guessing that by the end of the year, once he cashes in all the bonuses he's supposed to receive for the end of the year, he'll step down gracefully and jump out with his golden parachute.
We'll check in periodically with Pete Parsons throughout the year and see if he's still adding to his car collection. Yeah.
Still there.
Well, he's still there. Going from that, Xbox, or I should say Amazon and Xbox are making they're not selling consoles, Sarge. They're not selling consoles, but what they are doing is that they're putting more Fire Sticks and cubes out there. They've added to the device pool now for Amazon's Fire Stick. Okay, so now they have the Fire TV Stick 4K Max first generation. That's new. They have the Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. That's new. You can get the Fire Stick TV 4K Max, the 2nd generation, and you can also get it Fire Stick TV 4K 2nd edition as well. Right?
It was only a matter of time before we saw advertisements like this.
So now they have more devices with GameCube, or not GameCube, fucking A, Game Pass. Okay, on the Xbox or on the Amazon Cube. There's too many fucking cubes and things and whatnot. So says stream Xbox on more Amazon Fire Stick devices. Play hundreds of quality games with Game Pass Ultimate. So there you go. They're people are worried that Xbox is going to die, Sarge, because they're not selling enough consoles. And meanwhile, ding, 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 there's just another like 200 million devices that are out there that can now potentially get $10, $15, $20 from people.
Right. By the way, the end game is going to be Stadia, except Stadia won't be around when everyone goes Stadia.
Right.
Right, that's basically what's going to end up happening. Like, you're going to have Stadia, just Stadia won't be around for you to see it, because that's what everything's going to be. And by the way, you'll know when it's time, when the Fire Sticks are basically like inside, like, I don't know, packs of Pokemon cards. Like,
they're super cheap right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you buy a pack of Pokemon cards and like there's like one per box has the Fire Stick in it, you get all excited because you know it's got 3 months free games on it, and you plug it in, you're screaming at your dad. I got it. It's basically the kid equivalent of getting a golden ticket. You plug it into your TV and you get to play games for free for 3 months.
Fire Stick 4K right now, Amazon Fire Stick TV Stick 4K is $30. If you want the Fire TV Stick Max 4K Max streaming is $40. Okay, plus you're paying $20 a month for that. So on top of that, there's gonna be more games coming to Game Pass down the road, because Square Enix is they're doubling down. Square Enix is further depth in the relationship with Xbox gamers. It says Final Fantasy 14, right? They're gonna put more of their games, Square Enix, onto Xbox platform, because they didn't hit the financial markers they made with Final Fantasy on just PlayStation, right? So they've decided that they made the deal last year and earlier this year. You could play Final Fantasy 14 online on Xbox, okay? And they're going to keep adding more Square Enix games to it. I forgot to bring it up. So Square Enix is further deepening the relationship with Xbox gamers, says the Final Fantasy 14 guy, director. He says, with the Final Fantasy 14 an opportunity, we can take opportunities to strengthen the community with the Xbox towards the Final Fantasy franchise. This is where we could make more communication and work with establishing community moving forward. And it's important, not for just Final Fantasy 14, but I would say that for Square Enix, and with Final Fantasy 14 released on Xbox, Phil Spencer spent a lot of time in this in the effort to put in a lot of hard work and making this a reality. So we would like to make the best of it and further deepen the relationship with Xbox gamers moving forward. The director says, as a general argument, the Xbox has struggled in Japan due to its low numbers of users, naturally because of the Japanese developers. We have desired for many people in the country and to play our games, and we're also really thought the point in terms of business standpoint. He says, he continues by saying, however, Square Enix will have to be changing our policy, so now we are moving towards the policy of releasing our games on a multi-platform basis, and this is also really want as many players as possible to play our titles. So in Final Fantasy 14 as a starting point, and we do want to release more Square Enix games on Xbox, and there are also more of our titles released on Xbox, and hope so that players will look forward to future things and come to the platform. So again, everything's got a plan, right, for Microsoft, and Phil Spencer's plan, I think, is coming together nicely, because again, they're making less sales on consoles, but they're making more money with subscriptions. They're making more deals with Amazon and the streaming things and whatnot. They're making more people buy. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, because Call of Duty's coming out, and a lot of people are going to get Game Pass. I think it's going to shoot up.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because if it's big,
when does it come out? October? Is it October? Or is it September?
Chat, when does Call of Duty hit? When does Call of Duty hit?
I think it was October. Wasn't it October?
I think it might be October, November, something like that. But anyway, that's coming out. It'll be interesting to see the numbers, because if it does well, Microsoft will scream from the hilltops. You know what I mean? They'll be like, we got 40, 50 million people on Game Pass. The beta is tomorrow, so there you go. October 25th is when it comes out. The beta is tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with the Call of Duty on the Game Pass stuff. So on top of that, I forgot to talk about... Actually, let's stick with Xbox for a second. We forgot to talk about one more hero shooter game. But let's go to another game that's disappointing for a lot of people, and that's Avowed. Avowed has been confirmed from the developer, unless that
it exists.
That a journalist says otherwise. Avowed runs at 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series X and S, Obsidian confirms. It says Avowed will run a baseline of 30 frames per second across the Xbox Series X and S. Developer Obsidian has confirmed. Speaking to Iron Lord's podcast, art director Matt Henson, the Obsidian targeting a baseline of 30 frames per second for the first-person fantasy RPG. 60 frames per second sounds unlikely, however, even on the more powerful Xbox Series X. Explaining, Hansen said Obsidian decided to go 30 frames per second in order to facilitate a fancier visuals, and also because Avowed is a first-person single-player game, you don't necessarily need that 60 frames, right? It's not a multiplayer game or whatnot. He says, we're targeting 30 frames per second, bare minimum, Henson said, and that's the expectations. He says the first-person single-player game that don't necessarily need the 60 frames per second, and also allows us to get a lot juicier with the visual effects and lighting and also the other stuff. It's a trade-off that we opted to make relatively early on, and we're also happy with that. And the game is running pretty smooth and how visually it's dense, and this is always our goal. So here's the good parts about this, right? Here's the good parts about this. They didn't do this like right before the game came out, right? The game got pushed back to February next year, so you got some time. So if you're a person that's super pissed off about that it's 30 frames per second, you got time to think about it and be like, oh, okay, whatever. But they're giving plenty of time to say, hey, yeah, it's 30 frames per second, so no one's not like shocked and goes, oh my God. What I laugh about this, Sarge, is since this system of Xbox, we'll just talk about Xbox, comes out, a lot of the games have come out released at 30 frames per second, and then later down the road they add the 60 frames per second. And every time it comes out with a new game that's a first-party title and they say it's 30 frames per second, the same people are upset that game's 30 frames per second, instead of going, hey, you know what, maybe the games are going to come out 30 frames per second, and then down the road it's 60 frames per second. Here's the thing: don't pre-order a game, don't buy it day one if you don't want it, and just wait. Like Starfield wasn't 30 frames per second, and then magically it was. Redfall wasn't 60 frames per second. It was 30 frames per second, and then magically it was, right? So they did add it to a later date and whatnot. So a lot of these people get upset every time they hear a first-party title and they're like, it's only 30 frames, I can't believe it. But then they add 60 frames per second later. So I personally don't think it's a big deal. Plus, a lot of people are not going to pay full price for it, because why? Say it with me, chat. Say it with me, Mo. It's on Game Pass, right? So you're paying $20. You're not paying $70 for a game.
They're looking for reoccurring revenue any
Sure.
way they can. It doesn't matter how they do it. if you say to me that the games that we want to be 60 frames don't come out at 60 frames, but they will eventually, then that's all they would have to say at the beginning, and then they would still buy the game. But instead, they don't say that. They just say it's 30 frames. They don't tell you anything else, and they just want you to buy it anyway. If you really wanted me to buy something that's a 9th generation system for the 9th generation game, and you're going to tell me that it comes out at 30 frames, which I'm not surprised about anymore, I just don't care because I know you're not going to do it because of the S.
Right.
It's the reason. I don't know what else to tell you. That's the reason. But if you just said to me, game coming out 30 frames per second, but for those of you that have an Xbox Series X, down the line they're working on optimization for 60 frames per second.
Right.
So I have to say that's all you have to say.
Well, they don't want to say that, because if they do, that means people would wait and not get the monthly subscriptions because they would wait for that game to be 60. I'm assuming that's why they don't say it.
No, agreed with you. So what that really says to me is, who controls the market?
Oh, obviously, yeah, we do.
We do, right? So grow some balls and put some hair on those balls, and stop pre-ordering and stop ordering day one, and let them motherfuckers sweat for the first week, for the first month. Let them sweat, right? Because we all know what happens when the game doesn't sell well. It goes on sale immediately.
Right.
Right? Because they don't get their money. And I'm not shedding a tear for them not getting their money for a full price game for a half-ass product. So you're in control, kids. You're in control. You want better product? Stop buying day one. You want better services? Stop buying day one.
Right.
That's how it works, right? Every Ubisoft game that didn't do well was on sale the first month. The first month.
So the next story I want to talk about, speaking of graphical and frames per second and whatnot, a game that's coming out that I'm excited for, but I'm not excited because I just want to make sure, because based on the early previews and stuff of Space Marines 40K, Warhammer 40K Space Marines 2, that they said the multiplayer wasn't working very well. It was very glitchy. It was very hard to get it working and whatnot. Hopefully now the game is 1 month, less than a month, it's just like a week and a half away now, or less than 2 weeks away. And it says, "Greetings, Space Marines. We can hardly believe ourselves, but Space Marines 2's excitement is truly palatable, and it feels almost surreal to be this close to sharing the game after years of hard work dedicated to the passion from the entire team." Okay, it says, "In collaboration of labor of love, Space Marines 2 is a result of incredible collaboration between Saber Interactive, the studio, and Game Workshop." Okay, that's a bunch of fluff. I want to get to the actual the questions here. It says, "Over the past few months, we did our best to tackle the most urgent questions and community updates, and this is one no different this month. And we've shared most of our customizations and revealed the Space Marine 2 roadmap." So it's got a roadmap and whatnot. It says, "With the progression being saved when playing offline. To be reassured, in the campaign mode, your progression will be saved on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S while playing offline. Your operation mode, PvE, you will need to be online and ensure the progress of PvE to save. Offline progression will also not carry over to your next session. So make sure you connect and keep all your earned perks, skins, and other rewards. Does cross-platform save work well? Yes, cross-platform saves all fully functional through the platform of Primsy Ray Online Services. Is PvE/PvP playable via LAN? LAN play will not be supported. Will the game support crossplay and can be toggled off? Yes, full crossplay between Steam, Epic Game Store, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Players will be supported from day one. Okay. Doesn't work, Sarge, right? So you will be able to play campaign and PvE modes without any restrictions, but note that the fairness and balance and purposes of crossplay for PvP mode, Eternal Warfare is split between PC players in one pool, Steam and Epic Game Store in the console, and the console players in the other one, and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S in the other, right? So there's different pools. So Steam and Epic Game Store in one pool, and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS are in the other. You will also have the option to disable crossplay functionality if you prefer to only play with guys using the same platform as yours. Are there restrictions for what classes can be played in Operations Mode PvE and what the Eternal War PvP? Your squad may only include one Space Marine for each class of Operation Mode. Eternal War Mode is also, there's a limit of 2 players per class and per team. No all snipers teams and whatnot, and very variety. So what's the performance like on PC and console? On PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, there is a performance mode, quality mode, and the frames per second can be expected, and any other specific details. So quality mode will be mode 4K resolution at 30 frames per second. Performance mode will be up to 60 frames per second, up to 60 frames per second at 1080p. And please note that the Xbox Series S The quality mode will allow for 1440p at 30 frames per second, and performance mode will not be available. Okay, and I applaud this. Okay, I applaud this because you're not holding back. Right, you're not holding back the X because of the S. Right, so very good. Okay, it says what kind of communication tools will they have in game? There's also voice chat communication wheel that presents presets messages, and also text chat exclusive for PC version to facilitate your exchange in your teammates. It says, does the game support haptic features and DualSense controller? It says we support force triggers and DualSense controllers, but not haptic feedback at launch. So they're going to be doing that after the fact. It says, what about ray tracing and DLSS and other PC-specific technologies? DLSS 2, FSR2 available at launch, DLSS 3, FSR3 planned for post-launch, and ray tracing HDR not supported. Is the game compatible with widescreen? Widescreen support is planned, but obviously it's not in the game. Will game be playable on Steam Deck? We're working on an official Steam Deck support, so not right now. Will the game also have official mod support, e.g. Nexus mods? It says we currently have no plans for that. Any anti-cheat systems in place? We will be using an easy anti-cheat PC at launch. Does the game have DRM software de novo? It says no. Will the game be available on day one on GeForce Now? Yes. Will the game be available through Gamepass? No. Okay. It says, can the HUD elements be removed in the cinematic mode available? It says, though there's no actual cinematic mode available, there will also be UI elements that can be turned off at once. All of them can be individually displayed or removed through the settings menu. And let's see what else we have here. It says, we'll be able to preload the game. If so, when can the preloads be available? It says, on Xbox Series X and S, the preload is already available, so you can preload now, download now. You also download the full game as soon as you pre-order, either on games versions, and the game will unlock on September 5th or September 9th, depending on whether purchased Standard, Gold, or Ultra Edition. On PlayStation 5, preloading is available on September 3rd. I think that's about it. So I think we answered a lot of the questions of whatnot. So crossplay will be available on day one. Now, hopefully the servers and stuff hold up because I really want to play a game. I really want, just like we're playing Borderlands right now, we're having fun. I want to buy this game. I want co-op to work. So I am going to buy the game, but I'm waiting. I'm not buying it on day one. I'm not buying it.
Are you getting it on PC or are you getting it on console?
No, console. I'm going to get it on console because I can't stream on PC. I mean, you want to get it on PC. If I get it on PC...
I can let you know this. There's a small child inside me that wants to buy it day one, but I will not be buying it day one.
Right. Well, that's my thing. I don't think I'm going to buy it day one because I want to see... I'm going to wait to see the bugs and glitches get out. I know people are going to have a blast and fun, but I want to make sure it's working before I purchase it in any way, shape, or form if I'm going to give them the full price. So I'm definitely not pre-ordering, okay? But I will get it day one if the pre-orders and people playing it says, yeah, crossplay works, it's amazing. Then day one when it comes out, I'll go purchase it day one if all that stuff works. Because if co-op doesn't work,
I mean, it's pointless.
Then I'm just gonna wait. It's a Halo at that point to me, where I'll play it 6 months down the road.
I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong. I love the 40.
Sure, but I want to play. I want to play with you. I want to play with friends and stuff like that. I don't want to play solo with that game, right? So
they've done decent with 40K games, but they've pissed away so much promise on all the things that they can do with those games. Like the type of games that you could make in that genre would blow most things away. Just the universe itself is insanity. The level of complexity you could have in a straight up game of like Warhammer, the whole universe, the types of games you can make I would say, if done correctly, and I'm talking about all encompassing stories, graphics, gameplay, the whole thing, it could kickstart the new generation of games for like the next 10 years if they would just do it correctly. But they don't. Like, take a look at Total War Warhammer 3. Like, take a look at that game and imagine that, but more ridiculous and third person open world. Like, the possibilities are incredible.
Yeah, this is one of the games I'm excited for. Also in September, there's an open, there's a closed beta, or early access, I should say, of the game Towerborn, which is a side-scrolling RPG type of game. I think you would like it. It's founders packs are like $25, so there's a lot of games. September's packed with a lot of games that are coming out. So hopefully one of those games hits for me where I'm excited to play it. But Outlaws, I have a countdown. I have until the 23rd of September to finish it. So one of the games that we didn't talk about which will probably be the last story we talk about, is XDefiant, right? I meant to bring this up when we were talking about the other hero games, shooter games. Okay, this is another game that came out that's free to play that people liked, but here it says exclusive XDefiant. Exclusive XDefiant is on a borrowed time as players' numbers decline rapidly. It says according to several sources at Ubisoft San Francisco has until the end of Season 3 of XDefiant to improve the game's bleak player numbers. Okay, XDefiant has a buzz when it launched in May of 2024. The game exceeded 1 million unique players in the first 2.5 hours of Ubisoft's record and exceeded over 8 million players in the first week. Executives were thrilled at the title's future and even reported that the company's latest press release that XDefiant revenue contributed to the Q1's 2025 financial success. But now, just 6 weeks from Q1 financial report, Ubisoft headquarters wants player numbers to increase by Season 3, or XDefiant risks losing its much-needed post-launch support. Eternally optimized for the game is also shifted primarily due to the game's constantly declining player numbers and lack of player spending. One source told me that the game has been struggling to obtain 20,000 concurrent players across all its platforms, whereas another said that Ubisoft would probably be happy with that number, suggesting that if now much lower declining numbers have created a tension and anxiety within the team, with sources who spoke into me believing that the more layoffs are only a matter of time. It's not like Ubisoft San Francisco isn't already feeling the pressure. Either earlier this month or Ubisoft cut 45 jobs in the San Francisco, California area and North Carolina offices, which is around actively working on XDefiant, and even more of the studios losing their jobs due to Rocksmith Plus scaling down. So not only, Sarge, do these companies have to make sure that they make a fun game, but they also have to make sure that they keep us included into the game. And if you're in the game and it's a free-to-play game, right, and you're not making microtransactions, then you're useless, right? You're useless. So they're like, well, you got to keep that money up going. So you got to insert fun items. You got to keep those numbers coming. They're asking for the impossible, right? They're asking for the impossible because there's so many games, right? Regardless of free-to-play hero shooters, right? Everyone has 24 hours in a day, okay? There's thousands and thousands of games people can play, new games, let alone old games that people are playing. There's still people playing Fortnite that don't stop. There's still people playing Call of Duty that don't stop. This number has to constantly go up, right? If it constantly, and if they hit 20 million one month, they got to hit, well, their projections are hit 40 million in Q3. And if it hits that 40 million in Q3, it's got to hit 60 million. It's like, it's unattainable for what they want people to do, right? And it's just insanity to me that all these free-to-play shooters, all these free-to-play, Concord's dying with a $40 price tag. This game, super excited. They were ecstatic 6 weeks ago. They're like, this is the best game for us. This is amazing. We're making so much money. 6 weeks later, they're like, we might have to fire people. We might have to get rid of people. It's like, what the fuck? This is unsustainable for all of this live service, free-to-play, hero shooter, PvP. We still have Marvel's Rivals coming out. We still have Deadlock that's coming out. We still have Shroud's game that's coming out. We still have Dr. Disrespect's Midnight Society game coming out.
They have done this to themselves, though. Once again, this has got nothing to do with us. They have done this to themselves. Their greed, the level of greed that they have, that they want to have a live service because they know how much money they can make from it. When they realize that they're all in competition for the same group of people who only have a certain amount of time to play, it's going to come to a reason where they only have one live service game in their library and the rest are normal games. Because back in the day, when companies just made normal games, you played the game, you finished the game, you moved on to the next game, right? But they want billions. They want the paycheck every time. Right. And so it's not sustainable. It's just not. So we'll see. How many more times? How many more years do you think we can have of over 5,000 plus people being fired every time a game is released?
I don't know, man. It's crazy. And as Dave Langer's saying, that there's also I'm sorry, Zitho says Valorant just hit consoles, right? That hits. We have Fragpunk. That's another hero shooter with cards in that game. There's so many freaking games that are coming out in the same genre type of thing. It's impossible for these things to.
They would rather not learn and piss people's lives away than to just make a game and sell a game.
You know what the problem?
Because the allure of that much cash, and they all want to be like Pete Parsons. That's what they want. They want the golden boy to sprinkle some dust on them, and they're all going to make that kind of money all the time.
Well, here's the thing with Deadlock that's on Steam, right? That already has, even though it's a brand new game, Valve has this persona on them where they make good games, Team Fortress and Left 4 Dead and Half-Life, right? They make these games that people love. So this game's coming out now, Deadlock, and they already have a baked-in audience with Steam, right? Steam is the largest platform on planet Earth when it comes to PC games, okay? They have a captive audience, okay? So much so that Epic hasn't even broken into to touch them whatsoever, okay? And Epic can't break into that. And Steam, everyone's worried about Microsoft buying up everybody and being a monopoly and whatnot. Steam basically has a monopoly of the of PC, okay? So when they market, I read an article last week, we talked about it, where one of the reporters was talking about how basically they have a baked-in audience where no matter what they do, they can manipulate and push it out and get people to play. And the people that like the game are like, well, yeah, Steam's not going anywhere, right? Steam is the developer of this, and Valve's the developer of it, and Steam's not going anywhere. So I'm going to play this game because I know it's not going anywhere, right? Where you look at this from Concord going on to PC, they're like, it's a third-party game. No one gives a shit about that game, right? No one gives a shit about all this other games. Like, this game's going to make it because Valve's behind it, and it's on Steam, and Steam's numbers are gigantic. Where Steam is 10 times the size of what people are playing on Xbox or playing on PlayStation. You know what I mean? So that's why that game is going to make it, regardless if you like it or not. Deadlock will make it, and the rest of these games will go to the wayside. The reason Marvel's Rivals will make it is because of Marvel's brand of IP of the characters, not because if it's a better game than Overwatch or whatnot.
Well, but if nothing else, I'll get them to play longer.
Sure.
If nothing else.
Sure. Marvel Rivals will, it could flutter out because of just whatever reason, right? It could be a nerf or a buff that they do for one of the characters and destroy the player base. But it doesn't matter what Valve does because they have that core audience that's there, right? And if they have these numbers on a closed beta where people only get invites, what's going to happen when it actually opens up to the actual public and people want to play it, right? We're going to have like CSGO numbers and Team Fortress numbers when it first came out. So
possible.
We'll see. Possible. We'll see what happens with all of this. But yeah, live service, man. Live service and hero shooters and these PvP matches that are happening. There's just too many games. And just wait, because right now, this year, we've had Helldivers 2, we've had Pal World. These are two games that right now, just like when Overwatch came out, Concord devs were like, we got to make a game like Overwatch. There's developers right now working to make a Helldivers game. There's another corporation that's making a Pal World type of game. So 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to see a shit ton of games coming out that are all Helldivers. Okay, all type of sort of games like that. How to keep it fresh and new, like Helldivers is, or a Pal World type of game. And that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be like the new BR thing, the new hero shooter type of thing. And that's just how it's going to be. And it's going to suck really bad because this is remakes, remasters, and just copycat people out there with the games going, oh yeah, you like that? You're going to see a Halo one, right? You're going to see Halo ODST like Helldivers. You'll see other games like that.
You can just look at the history of it. Anytime they're in trouble, they're working on their next live service game. Before they release that live service game, if it's a popular company, they'll do a remaster of their old games for the holiday season because they need reoccurring revenue for that year because they know they have to invest more into the live service game, right? It should tell you that they are willing to gamble in order to get the next hit. Just like you say, out of 10 movies, 7 suck, 2 do well, and one is a blockbuster.
You just need that one blockbuster.
They all want that blockbuster.
That's right. Right.
They all want it.
But the difference is they want every game to be that blockbuster.
That's correct.
Right? They want every game to be that blockbuster. And it doesn't matter if they worked on a game for 8 years or 8 months. If they can make the game at 8 months and it makes the game that would make for 8 years profit, then that's what they're going for. And then they put pressure on the developers by going, well, these guys made this game and this made this much money. What are you guys going to do? Right? And then they're competing against each other within the company itself.
For the comparison that you describe with movies, I don't look at it as individual studios. I look at the industry as a whole. And the one game that's a blockbuster that has never been beaten is Grand Theft Auto. That's the blockbuster game. Everybody else does well, or they might just scrape by, but that's what everybody's looking for. They all think they're going to get that.
So, say what you want about EA, but someone said it in my chat earlier. I forget who it was. But they said the only thing that's official, I think it's Robert Jones. Robert Jones said it. He said the only thing that's guaranteed is COD, Madden, and FIFA. Right? Those games are what makes money. And EA, they have that capsulated with the sports industry. Activision's got that,
and it's reoccurring revenue
all the time.
It's not something that just falls off. So their stockholders are happy, everybody's happy.
Yep.
But they're never going to change.
Yep.
Right? And now, don't you dare think for a moment they're not going to turn Battlefield into everything else.
Oh, I know.
They're going to.
Yeah, they're going to. They're gonna Call of Duty Battlefield more because that's what they think people want. Instead of going for the player base that they had, they're trying to go for a new player base and try to pull. They're trying to pull from the other people.
Wasn't enough. The player base that they had wasn't enough.
Right. Well, it was. They just want more.
Right. They only made 7 games in the series, but it wasn't enough. So obviously, it wasn't enough. Right.
Right. All right. That is going to do it for Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Episode 408 is in the can. We do appreciate you coming out and watching us live here on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button. If you like us even more, hit the subscribe button. If you like us even more than that, you become a member as little as $5. We do this about 42, 46 episodes a year, Thursdays. Right here, you can watch the past broadcasts right here on 30NSG. You could also listen to us or watch us on Spotify or iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm, anywhere else podcasts are heard. We appreciate you very much. You guys have a great rest of your night, evening, or day, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Game on, guys.
They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.